Calm it down. All right. Wow, that got quiet really quick. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Do we have our Girl Scouts still here? If they left, they're going to be here before, but that was really cool how they came up. With that, welcome to the October 6, 2025 study session of the Livonia City Council. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Honorable Councilman Rob Donovic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. All right, just before we kick this off, I know obviously we have a lot of people in the room for various items. When you guys make your way to each podium, the only ask I have as a favor is, start lining up. You guys get 2 minutes on the item, and we're going to let you speak on it, all right? So just try to keep things moving, and we'll accommodate your free speech. With that being said, I'm going to jump into new business. Hang on. Nope, I got to jump into something else. This meeting sets the agenda for the 2027 era of the regular meeting. That's in the Taylor Swift reference right there because she had her cool album. Rob Donovic and I were there right when it kicked off. So the voting meeting will take place October 20th, 2025, where tonight's items will be officially voted on. I can note that we are missing Councilwoman Scheel, and we do have 6. I'm going to jump right into audience communication for items that are not on the current agenda. If you'd like to make your way to the podium, name, address, and you get 3 minutes. With that, I'm going to take the fast road and go right to council. Appreciate that. Council announcements. The only general thing I have right now is new data on item 2, which is a site plan petition that we'll be talking about. Council? All right. We're jumping right into the study agenda. Item 1 is a block party request, comes to us from Christopher Lee, to be held Friday, October 31st, from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. from 36849 to 36875 Bristol Street. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
Good.
Tell us a little about this party you got going on.
Christopher Lee, 36797 Bristol Street. My neighbor's Mike and Rolla. They own 2 Fratelli's pizza joints in Dearborn Heights. And so the other day they were having some type of event, and he brought out his mobile commercial pizza oven. It might have been some of the best pizza I've had in a long time. My kid doesn't like cheese, and so he just sprinkled a little bit of cheese on there. It was like incredible. And so we started talking, and he has a little one, Ali, and he said, hey, we should do like a block party for Halloween. And I said, that's a great idea. So I'm on the corner of Bristol and Munger. So what we're talking about is barricading just Bristol, so that people from Munger can still go all the way through, because it is a thoroughfare. So if you're coming down Bristol, you would be able to turn around and go through Munger. So there would be no real traffic blockage, but it would be right on that corner. And we've also talked to our neighbor across the way, Marty. He's on the other corner. He's okay with it. We're going to go from his driveway all the way to the property line, Mike's property line. And the idea is that we'll have the mobile pizza oven going. The kids can come up on Halloween. Ali, he's a little tiny guy. He's going to give out candy all night. He's very energetic, so he's super excited about that. And we'll have some music and some tables and chairs. It's just going to be a good time on Halloween. Mike's really excited about it because I didn't know this, but Mike said that Halloween's the second busiest night of the year for pizza places, and he's tired of missing Halloween with his son. Wow. So for him, this is actually a chance to spend time with his son. So we're really excited to do it.
That's awesome. I got Councilman Donovic, then the Vice President.
Thanks, Mr. President. And everyone loves pizza, and the Mackey family, they have a good pizza spots, and I've met them before, and they're good people. So I'll offer approving on consent. There's no objection from my colleagues. And I will just note for the audience that was watching the earlier meeting with other block party requests, this is how they typically go. Those other ones happen that way because they did not show up to the previous meeting. So at study meetings, like you see right now, you're seeing it in action. The petitioner will come before the council in the very beginning of the study meeting before a lot of the other business is taking place. We ask them questions. They tell us about the block party situation. We give residents on that block an opportunity to to voice their concerns maybe, or to talk about where those barricades are placed so it limits the disruption to the community. And Mr. Lee just did a great job. This is picture perfect of how our block party requests usually go, and they're out of here within a few minutes. So if anybody questions how the block party process goes, as Councilman Toy explained earlier, we do that to give residents an opportunity that may not want to have a block party, or there may be some potential issues with traffic control and safety concerns, the opportunity to voice their opinions before the council. So thank you, Mr. President.
That's great. Honestly, since it's a public meeting, we're going to use that into a documentary with some cheesy 80s music to say, this is how you do it.
I'm into it.
All right, cool. Well, your matter's all but assured to be approved. If you want to hang out with us next meeting, you can, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Any audience communication on this awesome block party? Seeing none. Thank you. All right, item 2 is a site plan petition comes from us from the Planning Commission in reference to petition 2025-08-08-07 submitted by Silk and Gold on behalf of Sheets, requesting site plan approval pursuant to the ZBA appeal case number 2025-03-04, approved May 6, 2025, to construct a gasoline service station, limited service / carry-out restaurant, including a drive-through window at the southeast corner of Newburgh Road and 8 Mile. I'm going to go to Mr. Tomina.
Thank you. This petition comes to you from the Planning Commission, which approved the site plan at its meeting on September 16th. This is the proposed Sheets gas station at the southeast corner of Newburgh and 8 Mile Roads. The property is roughly 1.83 acres in size, has 269 feet of frontage on 8 Mile, 285 feet of frontage on Newburgh Road. Property is zoned C1 local business. It has been under that zoning classification since 1978, and the property has been used for commercial purposes since then. The site contains a 2-story commercial building that's roughly 25,000 square feet in size. This was formerly occupied by a retail golf store, which was on the lower level of the building, and then the upper level was used by a Rite Aid drugstore. Everyone knows this property slopes considerably, has an elevation change from 8 Mile to the south side of the property of about 18 feet. The building on the site was constructed in 1995 and would be demolished as part of this petition. Last year, there was a request to rezone the property from C1 local business to C2 general business that was denied by the City Council. The C2 zoning was needed to allow consideration of the gas station, the restaurant, and the drive-through operation. The denial was appealed by the zoning board, or to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which granted the use variances, with the final site plan subject to the review and approval of the Planning Commission and the City Council. The proposal shows a 1-story building that would be roughly 6,139 square feet. It's shown on the south side of the property. There would be 6 gas pumps in what is referred to as a dive-in configuration. That would be on the north half of the site between the building and 8 Mile Road. Access to the site would be provided by 2 full service or full movement driveways, one which is in the southeast corner of the property on Newburgh Road, and then one in the northeast corner on 8 Mile. The driveway on 8 Mile does show a deceleration taper. For the restaurant, the lane serving the drive-up would commence on the west side of the building. It would then wrap around to the south side of the building, where there would be the order and the pickup window. As patrons exit the drive-through lane, they would then travel north and either continue to 8 Mile Road and exit the driveway here, or wrap around and would have the ability to exit back out onto Newburgh Road. Parking shows 47 parking spaces. This is sufficient to accommodate all of the uses on the property. There's a dumpster enclosure shown in the southeast corner of the property that would be fully enclosed with 7-foot-high masonry walls. A fully detailed landscaping plan was submitted with the application. It complies with the ordinance. All the species and their sizes, locations of all the plant materials is provided within that plan. There's also a fully detailed lighting plan that was submitted. The plan shows the floor layout, and just to run through this very quickly, it shows a retail sales area, a cashier counter, as well as a kitchen, walk-in coolers, indoor seating for roughly 30 persons. There's an office, restrooms, and then work and utility rooms. An outdoor dining patio is also shown. That would be located on the, the east side of the building, and that would be roughly seating for 16 people. The building itself, as you can see from these renderings, would be predominantly brick and cast stone. There's one tower element above the front entrance that extends to a height of roughly 26 feet. You'll also see additional features on the building, including the canopies, awnings, and the screening for the rooftop mechanical equipment. There would be a stormwater detention system that would be provided underground. There's also along the south side of the property, because of all the land balancing work that's required to make this site work, there's the need to construct a retaining wall that varies in height. I think at the highest point it would be roughly 14 feet in height and would have to be protected on top with a fence or railing. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Tormina. So kind of the flow that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to council. They can go, any references to you, Mr. Tormina, we can go to Mr. Tormina first. Then after those questions are done, I'm going to have the petitioner come up, kind of be on standby for questions from council. And then I'm planning to open it up to the audience and then back to council, if that works for everybody. So council, this is your take. If questions and concerns for Mr. Tormina, please levy them right now. Councilman Morgan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Mr. Tormina, I remember last time we hashed this out, is the sidewalks going all the way down Newburgh Road to connect?
There is a sidewalk on this site. The only change is it would be realigned according to the engineering department's recommendation. They want that sidewalk pushed a little further away from the road and closer to the property line. So the existing sidewalks are there. They would be reconfigured slightly, at least the one along Newburgh Road would. In terms of how far it extends, yes, this extends further south, and you will recall there will be additional sidewalks provided where the new homes are being built on that side of Newburgh Road. There's another segment, I believe, that has been budgeted for a gap that will provide a full link between this site extending south. I believe it'll complete at the Tin Cup, yeah.
Okay, oh, that's where it ends? It doesn't go all the way down south to the next light? Or I'm not sure. I just wanted to make sure.
It does
Just
extend
looking at
further
this, I know
south.
this is just site approval, but
Yeah, do you want to know what the full length of the sidewalk is along Newburgh Road?
I don't need the exact length. I just wanted to make sure, see if it was connecting down.
It
south
will
there.
connect to the other segment to the south. That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question I have there.
Councilman Donovan.
Thanks, Mr. President. So I'm a little confused about the sidewalk portion. I understand Sheets will be installing a sidewalk on their parcel, and then after that, the city owns the golf course on the eastern portion. And then after the city-owned golf course, there's privately owned residential. My understanding is the only sidewalk that the city is installing is on the western side along Greenmead.
Yeah,
Are you
and I failed to mention that. It is on the opposite side
Okay.
that will be extended.
So
That's
just for
correct.
clarification,
Yes.
at this time, there is the sidewalk that the petitioner is proposing will end at their property line, and then there will be a gap along the along the eastern golf course, and then it will start again at the residential south of the golf course.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
But with
Thanks, Mr.
that
Chairman.
path provided along the west side of Newburgh.
But there will be a west side portion being done by our contractor, Mertundo. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Councilwoman Budzinski.
You mentioned traffic flow. Will left turns be allowed at both 8 Mile and Newburgh?
There
or
are no restrictions on the turn movements from either driveway.
Is that something, how would we go about addressing that? I feel, I know that that was brought up in the Planning Commission. Is that something that the city has any authority over? Is it Wayne County? What?
So Todd will explain this a little bit further. City has jurisdiction on Newburgh Road, Wayne County on 8 Mile Road. There was a traffic study done by the applicant. It was also reviewed by our traffic bureau with no changes recommended in the movements from either driveway.
Just real quick to add on to that, if there's any issues during the engineering review or possibility that may restrict left turns outside on Newburgh Road, which is under our jurisdiction, obviously, we did the speedway at 7 Mile Newburgh. There was no left turns out of that driveway on the section on Newburgh Road to head north onto there. So there may be some restrictions at certain times during peak times I may consider on Newburgh Road. Again, we have the street being reconstructed on the north end in Farmington Hills. Then we'll also see what Wayne County has to say on 8 Mile as far as what they're going to require.
When would the city do the engineering study for Newburgh?
Once it's submitted for approval, if it gets approved, then we would submitted to the city for our, recommendations from engineering department, and then look at the traffic study and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted a quick piggyback. I had a follow-up question to Mrs. Brzezinski's line of questioning there. When you're looking at this, I know in the planning commission, they had talked about adding like a taper lane there, and then as well as removing the drive that's the northernmost one on Newburgh. Is that kind of what would come out of that traffic study potentially?
Well, obviously, the plan shows good asset management. You want the driveway as far away from the intersection as possible. Obviously, they can only go so far on the south end. My concern is we have a dedicated right turn lane only for traffic to turn onto eastbound 8 Mile Road. Again, certain times it does back up. So we just want to make sure that if there's traffic exiting from the pickup, the restaurant that comes back around, it doesn't get caught trying to make a left turn, kind of like an 8 Mile in Middle Belt, right? You have the mobile gas station, there's no left turns there, right? So we want to make sure that we don't have more accidents, we don't create an issue for accidents. We want to make sure it's safe for patrons if it's approved to get in and out of there, and also for people for traffic flow to the north. But again, we have a dedicated turn lane for Newburgh Road onto 8 Mile, and the through lane and the left turn lane onto to head to the I-275 corridor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other Councilman Donovan?
Thanks, Mr. President. To our city engineer, Mr. Zielinski, I know when we originally went through this process, there was some discussion just with members of the community and just some staff about those turning lanes and then the traffic going northbound on Newburgh and how the left turn lane tapers off in the middle and some of the markings. Is there any restriping that is going to occur on Newburgh? Are we concerned about southbound traffic on Newburgh trying to make a left turn with the way that turning lane starts to kind of mold in at the same time as that first intersection or the first entryway into Sheets? Any thought process there? I mean,
There's that possibility, but again, we're at the jurisdiction of Wayne County and Oakland County, so there may be some, out of the traffic study, may see some improvements that maybe need to be done at the traffic signal, and that will be reviewed by Wayne County and possibly getting comments from Oakland County at the same time. But again, we don't want to prevent left turn lockups, correct? There may be some additional, information needed to assess what's going to happen on the southbound lane and, restrict left turns into the facility where they'd have to use the 8 Mile section at certain peak times, correct?
Sure.
So until we get information and some additional information for the traffic study to look at, then we would make that, and it possibly, if necessary, go to Traffic Commission for their input also.
and I don't know if this is a question for staff or for the petitioner, but, and maybe just for the record, if there was a formal traffic study submitted by the petitioner, and if they are proposing any traffic signal improvements, and would they be paying for that? Or would we as a city be paying for that with the county? So maybe it's not the right time to answer. Maybe we'll find out with the petitioner through their presentation, but just something I want to put out there. And
Typically, the petitioner would pay for any improvements to that signal or interconnect to other signals in the jurisdiction of that vicinity itself to help improve the traffic. Obviously, we don't want to create any ill harm to the motorists in that area. We want to improve or make it any worse than what it's already there at that location.
thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Before we go to the petitioner, I do have one question, Mr. Tamina, through me to you. So can you just give us, I don't want you to belabor it, but for a lot of people that, aren't well-versed with how the ZBA had worked and the process, a year ago, obviously, council, for what it's worth, we did deny that, and the petitioner obviously came back through a channel through the ZBA. Can you just give a high-level, 1,000-foot on, for people that aren't too versed with the planning, on what took place at ZBA?
The zoning board has broad powers to consider a variety of action, can act on variances. Typically, they involve dimensional variances, but they also have the authority under state law to consider use variances. And that's what was brought before them following the denial by this body of the zoning change. And what that essentially allowed the Zoning Board of Appeals to do is to consider a variance that would allow those uses within the zoning district. So without the need to change the Zoning Board of Appeals authority and enable them to grant those use variances, essentially bypassing the need to rezone the property to C2. And the issue before the Planning Commission and the City Council at this point is not to consider the use of the property, but really the site plan, and to consider whether or not this plan meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Thank you for that. And so just to go back, this has always been a C1 property, correct?
It's been a C1 zone property since 1978. roughly.
Okay, so we have a C1, and then if I'm just, because this is not my strong suit, so I'm just asking the questions that probably some of the residents would have, is there a variance out there or requirement that you cannot have this type of an establishment within a city park within a certain distance? Is there a distance of that, or am I
So
going
there
crazy?
is a provision in the Code of Ordinances. It's chapter 5.36, and there is a location restriction that says that gasoline service stations cannot be located within 100 feet of any public park, playground, church, theater, school building, or other public place where the public frequently gathers. So we're aware of that requirement and took a look at that. In fact, this is something that the law department considered and reviewed, and it was determined that that provision is not being violated by this proposal.
So just for the record, we do have Greenmead, which would be considered a park for the zone, right?
Greenmead is a park. It's more than 100 feet distant from the property.
Okay. All right. That's it for questions for right now. Yes.
One question, one comment, statement. One is, we're not supposed to have props and/or signs in the auditorium, Mr. President, so can you please address that? And two, Mr. Tormina, great question to the President, because I had to try to understand the ZBA process, and you know, this is unique in some instances where the ZBA is doing this after the council had taken its action. So with that being said, do we have the authority to overturn the ZBA? My understanding is they're a legal body that does what they do.
You do not have the authority to overturn the action of the Zoning Board of Appeals that I'm aware of. But I believe that's really a question for our legal department.
That's correct. City Council does not have the authority to overturn decisions from ZBA. ZBA is actually the appellate body that sort of reconsiders council decisions. The only body empowered to overturn decisions from ZBA is the court.
Okay, so Mr. President, may I? So before us this evening is not the zoning portion anymore. It is now the site plan portion. And we will not take a vote tonight. We will deliberate over the site plan. We could offer an approving, a denying, or even a committee option, and we would take that vote at the next regular meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And then before I go to Councilwoman Budzinski, just to ask this, Whispering Willows Golf Course is that considered a park?
I don't know that you would consider it a park, but there's no place within 100 feet of this proposed site
Okay.
Where the public gathers.
Gotcha. And then for point of information to the city attorney, I want to just verify that we're not going down a worm tunnel with the props. Are people allowed to have that? Do you know? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know we got a lot of residents here, and I just want to make sure that their First Amendment is protected.
I'm not actually aware of a rule about props, but I'm happy to research that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would ask someone, obviously, just to use, I'm not going to put anyone and get in a debate on free speech, but just looking to have open dialogue with the residents here. So just until we can get that information, we'll go from there. With that being said, I'm going to go to Councilwoman Budzinski.
Yeah, just a couple questions. I don't know if it's more Carter or you, Mark. But I know, again, at the Planning Commission, one of the things that was mentioned is the variance. Did it include the gas station, the convenience store components, and the drive-through restaurant
Yes,
component?
the
All three?
resolution of the zoning board of appeals, which should be in your packet, addresses all three of those items.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question to Carter, and I don't know if you can answer this or here or not, but just as it relates to what this is zoned for and what is before council right now, council is able to evaluate this proposal strictly on it being a site plan and not whether it exists as an approved type of an approved business type at this site? Is that?
That's
accurate?
correct. So ZBA has made the decision that the use for this site is appropriate. Council is now tasked with deciding whether or not the plan as presented comports with our ordinances and the requirements that we put in place for site plan approval.
And again, just as a matter of clarification, so in our ability to evaluate this proposal, it is to make sure that it fits our ordinances as they exist for the approved use. Does Sheets have the ability to construct something that's strictly already within the approved use? In the sense of, I'm just trying to make clear to myself and to the audience, like what the scope is of council's decision right now. Like they have the ability to build these services on this spot of land according to the ZBA variance they have, correct? So our approval or denial is how this looks and functions.
That's essentially correct. So ZBA has granted permission for a gas station with a drive-through and a convenience store via the variance process. That's not up for debate or discussion tonight in terms of what council is approving. Council is looking strictly at the site plan and whether the site plan comports with our zoning ordinance and similarly required ordinances as it relates to site plans. So the underlying use is not being put to a vote right now. The site plan and the dimensions for the site plan are what's up for the vote tonight or at the regular meeting, but for discussion tonight.
Thank you.
Let me go Vice President, then I got you, Councilwoman Toy.
Thank you, through the chair, kind of to Mr. Fisher a little bit. And I just want to clarify as well with Mrs. Blazinski's questions. The vote we are potentially going to be taking in a couple weeks is on just the site plan, which is a technical review, basically, of the proposed plan that Sheets is going to bring to us. And that's what we're here to do tonight. We're looking to ensure that the site plan is going to meet the applicable requirements for approval.
Correct.
In essence.
Exactly.
We're not voting whether or not they can build. We're voting on the site plan that they're bringing before us.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so if we're so why are we reviewing this, Mr. Carter, again?
So this is part of the normal site plan approval process
Yeah.
for any development that would come to city council, not just a gas station
Right.
or a variance usage.
Okay, so my confusion is if that's what it is, why, if it's already been approved and ZBA already approved it, then why is it in front of us? I mean, what meaningful decision are we gonna make on this? We haven't heard from the other side of things yet, but you know what I mean?
Sure. So with lots of types of developments, if you recall the Meyer that was recently discussed,
Yeah.
council has the authority and really the duty to review site plans
Sure.
to make sure that as they're presented to council, they comport with our zoning ordinance. So this is just a normal continuation of that process that happens for many different kinds of developments across the city. And the question of whether or not a gas station can be built here or whether or not specific use
Yes.
can arise here is no longer in play in terms of council's decision-making. That's been decided by ZBA, and the matter at hand is just that normal site plan approval process.
Okay. Alrighty, and so I guess there would be some disagreement from the other side by looking at the audience, not that they're all against it, but, you know, I think we've heard this before, and yet it's not here, but yet we're making another type of decision on a technical review. I guess we've done it over the past. I don't recall that clearly, but Thank you for your explanation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a little confused still, but
No, we're going to bring up the petitioners. Yes.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'll just note that typically when we rezone a property, Livonia has a two-step process. When you rezone a property for a particular use, that zoning is contingent. The final decision, we handle them in two buckets, if you will. And after that rezoning is approved, then it goes back to the Planning Commission for site plan review. After that decision is made, then it will come back to the City Council for site plan review, doing exactly what we're doing right now. And if we denied the site plan for a number of different reasons, then that rezoning that was originally approved would also be denied at that time, and the project would fail. But before us tonight, as we've kind of belabored on about this, is the council originally denied it. The ZBA acted in its legal authority to what they believe to approve this type of usage. And now the project went to the Planning Commission for site plan review, talking about exterior facades, talking about turning radius. I have questions in regards to retaining wall. I have questions to fuel systems. I have questions to illumination of the canopy. I have question to, is there any eagle review? I have questions about traffic signal improvements, turning radius and drive-throughs, whether 24-hour gas station is something that they can or can't do or willing to change. So there's a number of questions that I have as one member, in particular to the site plan. I imagine my colleagues also have a lot of questions. So I would say to the audience, this is a normal process with the exception of the ZBA doing what they did. So that is unique in its nature. So thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Before I go to the petitioner, I do have one last. Mr. Tomina, so what is the zoning for Whispering Willows? Because the way I'm looking at it on our site, it shows just the same as Greenmead.
It's PL, public lands.
So is there the gas station requirement on PL or no? Within
It
100?
doesn't state PL, it just says park,
Okay,
and it says where people gather,
okay.
where the public gathers.
So that could be interpreted. I mean, listen, I understand that the site plan goes into this, but that's one question I do have, which I guess that's open for interpretation to a potential court. Outside of that, the second thing I wanted to ask, just for clarification on, is hours of operation. Do we control that, or has that been dictated by ZBA?
ZBA, to my knowledge, did not address the hours of operation.
So that could be
The
still
Planning
modified.
Commission resolution specifically indicates that a 24-hour store is allowed.
Okay.
Now, to the extent council modifies that provision, that's for you to deliberate on and confer with council on the appropriateness of such a restriction under the authorities that are given to you on this. So I would
that's
defer
still
defer that question really to the law department if you're thinking about restricting the hours.
I just think that, we just have to look at everything, because last year we went through this. And my last question, I'm going to give it over to Councilman Donovic, but my question to you is the ZBA did approve the use to allow a drive-through, correct?
That was addressed during their hearing. That is correct, and it's in the resolution.
Okay. All right. Councilman Donovic.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President, for bringing that up about hours of operation. And, again, as one council member, I understand that question, and I think that's a really good question asked if we can limit those hours of operation. It's something that I personally would like as one council member, but again, there has to be multiple council members to agree with that. With that being said, I don't know that we necessarily have the authority to do so in lieu of the Speedway less than a mile away being 24 hours. And I imagine the attorneys will argue back and forth and make that discussion. So I do think it's something that we as a council can discuss and should discuss. We do have the authority to change planning commission's decision-making in terms of the site plan overall. But I do wonder if it would stand up to legal challenges, limiting the hours of operation. And that's something that it's been bugging me about this particular item. I think we have a lot of discretion on facade requirements and, all those sorts of things when at the site plan portion, lighting and those sort of things. But I wonder if we have that authority to change the hours of operation because of similar uses within a close proximity that are operating under what the petitioner is asking for. And I think we'd be in a tricky waters there, but something to have in conversation, Mr.
Absolutely.
President. Thank you,
No,
sir.
Thank you. My last thing, just for maybe we do a little bit more due diligence, is I'm currently looking on our assessing site, and I'm going from property line to property line, and I'm not getting 100.
What is it that you're attempting to measure?
So I'm looking at the parcel,
Yes?
and if you go to the parcel's kind of V
Yep.
a little bit. If you go kind of towards the very bottom of that parcel,
Right here,
yep, and then take it across the road where our parcel would pick up.
130.63 feet.
I've got 97.9. But maybe, listen, I just think that it might be prudent, just while this is such a contentious vote, to ensure that maybe some surveying is done, just to make sure that that's there, so we don't end up in a courtroom and have another consent judgment. That's just my opinion. With that being said, Councilman Toy.
Thank you. If I may, I can't find my notes from the ZBA. Do we know if all members were present as well at the zoning board meeting? Yes? And I think the vote was 1 to however many other people that were there. Each of us gets an appointment to the zoning board on the council. Normally, this is a council responsibility, quite frankly, but we chose in this city a long time ago to have a zoning board. And it took some things off our plate. So subsequently, we have a zoning board that we each appoint one member to that zoning board for a certain term there. And I just wondered if all members were present, and I think the vote, I know that one voted against it and the rest voted for this, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this, because, no offense, it's kind of unique, as I think we heard, and even, I think the history of that property is unique. I gotta believe I want to think that Whispering Willows was created under the McNamara administration back in probably early 70s, I'm going to guess, maybe late 70s. You guys may know that history better, and maybe I should have brushed up on the history. But it almost seems that like it's a piece of leftover land from that site. I'm surprised that the city didn't purchase it at the time, or, include it with the golf course property. I'm not sure what they would put there. I know one of the gentlemen put a pro shop there years back. And I think he still operates one in Northville, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just trying to get my arms around it so that we have a historical perspective of this as well, besides all the little pinpoints of it.
Awesome. Is that good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just throwing out some questions. that's all.
Councilman Morgan.
Motion on the floor?
No.
No, we got audience.
Well, I mean, you're free to make a motion if you'd like to.
Yeah, but if you want.
Yeah, we'll wait until audience
Okay.
communication. then we'll
I'm going to go to the petition. I'm going to bring the petitioner up, if we may. If you wouldn't mind, name and address for the record, and then I'm going to open up questions for the council.
Good evening, everyone. Alex Sawicki from Sheets, 39300 West 12 Mile Road, Farmington Hills, Michigan. Thank you for having me here again this evening. So you all asked some great questions. Stole a lot of my thunder. I was going to explain a little bit of what happened since the last time I've been in front of you. So as you recall, we did go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals to ask for a use variance, which was granted by the city. So that, it's a poor analogy. The planner and city attorney will say it's not quite accurate, but to make it easier to understand, that essentially makes this site a by right zoning. Again, that's not exactly accurate, but by right zoning. So this evening, we're only talking about site plan, lines on a piece of paper. Not talking about a use, not talking about a user. We're looking to see if the black and white paper that we put in front of you complies with your zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission thought it did so, and based on the planner's report this evening, he didn't list any deficiencies that I had heard. So that kind of talks about like the process of what happened. We also have improved our site plan since we last spoke with you all. There are a number of things that we did to the site plan to make it feel even more, to fit into the character of the area, if you will. So we changed a lot of the colors on the building. So there's not as much of our signature red. We're doing more bronze. than we previously had, kind of help it blend in. We've rearranged landscaping on the site a little bit and added more, so it's definitely blending in with the greenery of the area. We've taken brick all the way up to the bottom of our canopy, and we've actually decreased the height of our fueling canopy to kind of help it mesh within the area. Also, we added a decorative fence along Newburgh Road, and we're really trying to make it part of the character of the area. With that, I am here to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Council, the floor is yours. Councilman Donovan, then the Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, sir. Thanks for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. I have a number of questions, so bear with me. One of my questions is, can you talk about the Eagle review and environmental review, and what lengths has your organization gone to, and or any reviews that have been approved, anything like that?
So I think you probably have a number of questions in there. So Eagle has been, we have talked and consulted with Eagle about this site. The only thing that Eagle has to do here has to do with the creek that is running to the south of the site, and that there's some wetlands through there. So Eagle is aware. We've done site walks with Eagle. When we get into the engineering phase, we'll seek the appropriate permits from them. They've indicated that they thought our plan that we proposed is not going to impose any issues. We've actually specifically designed the shape of the southern boundary to lessen the amount of mitigation that we might have to do. So we took that into account. What I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, what I think you're really asking about is environmental protections when it comes to our fueling system. Is that accurate?
It's also, yeah, thank you, sir.
So that is not regulated by Eagle. That's regulated by the Bureau of Fire Services. It's under LARA for the state of Michigan. We go through extensive permitting with them also. We have state-of-the-art systems. We're monitoring electronically and mechanically 24/7, 365. We have 2 departments that are dedicated entirely to protection of the environment. We have a nearly 99% technical compliance rate with the EPA, which is unheard of. The average in the state of Michigan is just about 70%, reaching 99, 100% in some cases. It does not happen. We take great pride in protecting the environment in that manner, and we have all the bells and whistles to make sure that that happens.
Okay, so thank you for that. When you talk about Eagle, and for the people in the audience, Eagle is the environmental agency for the state of Michigan. So they review site plans, any kind of impact to stormwater and wetlands and whatnot. So you're saying you met with Eagle, you did a site walk, they reviewed it, they felt comfortable with your site plan, and you would go through the appropriate Eagle permitting if this were to move forward.
That's correct.
And they didn't have any concern, and you don't have any concern moving forward to the impacted wetlands?
We do not.
Okay, and then environmentally for the pumps themselves and underground storage, can you touch on the underground storage component and where they will be at in relation to the actual site plan?
Yes, so the underground storage tanks are located on the very north part of the site.
So away from the south, the wetlands area?
Yep, completely opposite. So if you see our fueling canopy, that's the rectangle with the 6 dashes in it. Those 6 dashes are our fueling dispensers. That concrete section that's kind of embedded into the lawn in the front, that is where the tanks will exist underground.
And these tanks are, I'm not a tank expert, right? So
okay.
These are standard, modern, state-of-the-art. They have protections in place if anything happens. You know, you're not worried about leakage, seeping into the groundwater. Can you kind of go into detail of that with those sorts of protections? I know you touched on it, but again, I'm not technical on tanks, and I imagine.
Yeah,
most
that's
people
okay.
aren't.
Without giving a master
Yeah,
class
just
here.
briefly.
So they will be fiberglass tanks. They will be double walled. So there's going to be what's called an interstitial space in between the inner and the outer walls. That is one of the spaces that we monitor. So if a break in the outer wall, let's say groundwater is getting in, there's sensors in that interstice that will pick that up. We'll be able to fix it. If there's a break in the inner wall and fuel is getting in there, we'll be able to detect it and fix it. Those are very rare occurrences. We also monitor pressure going through the lines. If there's a drop in pressure, the system automatically shuts down. We monitor levels in the tanks. That helps us with inventory management, but it also tells us if there's a sudden drop in fuel, system shuts down. All of these things cause the system to shut down immediately. We also, I don't think I mentioned it, we have a staff of maintenance personnel that work directly for Sheets. They are certified by the state of Michigan and all the states that we operate in. They're able to respond 24/7, 365. They are working around the clock. They're not just day people that might be on call at night. We actually have people working in the middle of the night also.
Okay.
Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that does. And naturally, any environmental concerns are important to me, so I appreciate that. Light and illumination, I know, looking at your lighting plan, it looks good on paper, but I'm concerned about any illumination on the exterior of the canopy. I'm not talking about downlighting underneath the canopy. Naturally, you need to illuminate that area, so when your customers are pumping fuel and walking to and from, that is illuminated at night. But, a lot of gas stations, we don't allow neon strips on our canopies, but our canopies can be illuminated, behind some sort of plastic, acrylic. Your canopy, the exterior red portion, is not going to be illuminated on the outside, correct?
Kind of, sort of. So what we have, what's called eyebrow lighting. So basically the fascia of the canopy, it's concave. And there is a shielding up here, and there's a light in here that's just at the right angle, it's completely shielded, doesn't strobe, doesn't move, doesn't change color, nothing like that, that casts a glow on that concave, makes it glow. Same thing as if you were to have backlighting or a translucent, just a different way of doing it. So instead of the light pointing out, it's pointing in.
Sure, and council, again, this is where council can get involved. Is that something that would be important to me, that there be no glowing or illumination on the exterior canopy? We do have that authority as a council to impose those sorts of site plan parameters. But again, that'll be a conversation of council and where that goes from. But that's something that's important to me, that there be no illumination. I don't want to limit the illumination on the site as it pertains to illuminating the parking lot and making sure there's adequate lighting. And I sincerely appreciate your lighting plan is done well. And we need to naturally have light in the parking lot so cars can maneuver and people can walk to and from the pumps to the front doors. And, maybe the garbage truck is going in early mornings to empty the trash can. Those are all normal things. But I do think any illumination on the exterior of the canopy, glowing, whatever you want to label it as, any sort of light fixture in the canopy that's illuminating out and up into the area. There are some residential homes to the north, and I think not only would be a good gesture, but I think it would be more in coming with that area. But that's just one of my questions for now. And I'm just going to get off my questions. My last one for now will be traffic signal improvements. I know my colleagues want to have questions as well. Can you talk about any signal improvements to that existing signal at the corner of 8 Mile and Newburgh?
Yeah, as the planner and engineer indicated, we did provide a traffic study to the city for their review and also provided it to Wayne County. It proposed a number of things that we can do with the intersection, all regarding timing of the signal. It could use some work even as it stands today, whether we build there or not. It's something that we would recommend doing. It's something that we would take on the burden of working between the city and the county to coordinate and pay for those timing adjustments. That will do a lot for that intersection.
So you will pay, if this project is approved to move forward, the petitioner will pay for those improvements to that traffic signal?
Yes, we're not asking the city to pay for anything.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. President. Thanks to my colleagues.
Vice President.
Mr. Donovan actually hit on quite a few of the points I had. No, it's all good. So, but I did, on the environmental concerns, I just wanted to hit on a couple of things real quick. Spills. Of course, we never want spills to happen, anything like that, but invariably something could happen. Can you just talk to us a little bit about your spill response procedures that you have in place?
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're probably talking about when a customer might, okay. So yes, we have spill response procedures in place. All staff are extensively trained on it. But we also have e-stops, emergency stops that are positioned around the site. You can't miss them. That any customer can go up to, shuts down the fueling system. So that's step number one, eliminate the ongoing problem. Step number two is to contain. So we have what we call spill kits They're in these boxes, honestly about the size of this podium, that are next to a few of the fueling islands. And inside of those kits, they have a variety of tools that staff can use to contain issues. Pardon my vernacular from way back when I used to maintain these fueling systems, but there's pigs, which are these long sock-like things. You've seen them on TV in the middle of the ocean when there's an oil spill. There is this substance that's akin to kitty litter that you can throw down that absorbs the material. Essentially, we provide all the tools and training necessary to contain any issues. Then, of course, we do have those departments that are dedicated to environmental responsibility. So incident reports are always established. We figure out the cause of it. Whether it's customer error or something to do with our equipment, we address it.
Great, thank you. In doing my research too, it looks like environmentally, we're going to be improving on some outdated stormwater systems that are 30 years outdated about. Will this help reduce the erosion and that the quality of the water in that creek, or I guess what's being proposed for that part of this?
Yeah, so I can't speak too much about the current situation when it comes to stormwater. I haven't gone down into the system or what system is specifically there. But yes, the water that we will be putting out will be clean, will be no danger to the creek. We have water quality structures, oil water separators, before it goes into our underground detention system, because we also want to keep that detention system clean, that mitigate a lot of those issues. I think I mentioned oil water separators. We have those all over, so when someone's pumping, if they have a little dribble and it's raining and it washes into the drain, we're able to catch that at its source. We maintain all of our systems. We inspect them numerous times a year. We clean them numerous times a year. They're kept top-notch.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have for right now.
Councilwoman Budzinski.
Yeah, I find it really interesting when you're talking about the catching of it from the drips. When this was originally presented to us, one of my main points of concerns was the fact, not a massive oil spill, but the kind of the drips that accumulate throughout the day and then go onto the impermeable concrete and then wash into, the streets, the water, the creek that's surrounding there, and then the environmental damage you have from incremental exposure over time. So could you just, I guess, reiterate or go into where you're talking about that being considered in the system you have? Where is it separating it? So basically, like if it's a drip, then it goes into a grate where your water detention is and grabs it before it gets into the water, or?
Yeah, so there's actually 3 different points, so redundancies upon redundancies. We acknowledge that of the issues that may occur, no offense to everybody, including myself, that pumps gas, but it's almost always customer error. So when it washes to a drain, inside each of our drains, there is what's called a snout. And it basically acts as an oil water separator, the thought that oil floats on top of water. So basically, we're grabbing the water from underneath and keeping the oil in place. So that's step 1. It moves on to another oil water separator just in case, and then a water quality structure, which, depending on what we propose here, might be a swirling type of thing that basically acts as a centrifuge and gets rid of all the debris, because we've already gotten rid of oil at this point. So at the end, you basically just have water.
Where do you collect the oil and the debris, and then how do you remove it after?
So it gets stored in the various points where it is originally removed, and we remove it via vacuum trucks as needed during our inspections.
Very interesting. Thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toy.
If I may, real quick, sir, tell me a little bit about your staffing and your employees. I heard you say that there's some training that goes on, if you will, on some of those incidences where there may be an accident in the fuel system, or however you describe that. Do you get long-time staffing? Is there a training period? What kind of, I don't know if they possess degrees, or, you know what I'm saying? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, I'm very proud to say for 10 years in a row now, Sheetz has been listed on Fortune's top 100 companies to work for. And we do everything we can to make sure that we are a great employer. So to answer a little bit of your turnover question, while some come and go, we do have lower turnover compared to our industry. So for example, our first location down in Romulus by the airport, it's been open about a year now, and it's had a 0% turnover. That is crazy for the type of business that we're in. So the staff that was there on day one is still the exact same staff that is there right now. And it's because we are good to work for and they love their jobs. I love my job. I've been doing this. I've been with Sheetz now almost 7 years. I've been in a variety of positions. They've put me through school. I finished my master's degree in 2 weeks, by the way, paid for the company. I'm super excited.
That's good. Congratulations.
Thank you. But the health benefits, the education, the retirements, all the bells and whistles that you can think of, they are just simply a great company to work for.
So how do you separate that food compared to when you sell gas? I've heard you have real good food, never tried it, seen your establishment down in Romulus, but there's a different type of individual that does the food side compared to perhaps, are they, trained throughout?
So they do train throughout. We believe in cross-training.
Okay.
Allows us to be nimble and flexible, especially in situations like that where we might need someone to respond.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the clarity.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything else from council?
Mr. President?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Donovan.
Thanks, Mr. President, I appreciate it. Sir, there's some utilities when I'm visiting, I went and visited the site a few times now, and there's a large amount of utilities right in the corner, DT poles or what have you. Are you proposing to relocate any of those? What happens to those?
I do not believe we're proposing to locate any of those at this time. We do try to avoid relocating utilities if we can. But it is something that we're very versed in being able to do. Not every development is able to go without maybe moving a pole or something like that.
Yeah, and I asked it because they're large utility boxes and looking at your site plan, and maybe I'm just missing it, but I'm not seeing it on your site plan. So, and I could be missing it just because site plans are so detail oriented. And I will note, in regards to people's opinions, this is a very good site plan in terms of detail and all that. So I do appreciate the level of detail that your architect and engineer have gone through. But I just know there are a lot of poles right there, and I think I'm looking at one of them now, and they are notated on your survey. Just it's hard to read with so much detail on here and topography and whatnot. Talking about topography right now, as mentioned, the planner earlier talked about there's a difference in grade elevation there. Mm-hmm. So are you proposing to demo the existing structure, remove all footings, foundations, bring the entire site up to one even grade, and then you're building a retention pond along the south side?
There's more detail than that.
Sure. And briefly.
Briefly. Yeah. So we are propose to demolish the existing structure, including all foundations. We would essentially be bringing it up to, I'm not going to say the same grade. There still will be a little bit of fall, but essentially the same grade, more flat than it is today. And we are proposing to build a quite large retaining wall on the south and east sides. We've provided those engineering plans to the city. But further than that, if you've been to the site plan, you'll notice that there is a random patch of concrete in the parking lot surrounded by asphalt. Mm-hmm. If you look at aerial images, historical images of that site over time, it's the best way to describe this without being a geotechnical engineer. That concrete has expanded over time. The soils on that site are extremely unstable. Mm-hmm. So not only are we going to be bringing it up to grade, we're actually going to be going down even further, getting rid of the existing poor soils. There is a lot of engineering work that will go into essentially flattening out this site. A lot of engineered fill, a lot of geopiers, which are basically big pylons into the ground, more or less. But yes.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, again, if you've walked in that building before, you can feel the floor shaking. So that was naturally a question of mine. That's good to hear that you were proposing to install geotechnical piers and those different things like that. Are we worried about the turning radius? I'm not a big fan of the drive-through, but again, ZBA has approved that in their language. So why position the drive-through on the western portion of the building? Why not do it on the south side maybe, so you can pull straight in, as opposed to trying to make this difficult? If you're coming into the proposed project from Newburgh and going to your drive-through, you have to drive around this island and kind of make this hard turn. I'm just envisioning traffic and whatnot. Maybe you have a great explanation, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'd have to work with Mark to see what the city's queuing requirement is. Typically, in a drive-through window, you have to be able to stack a certain number of cars. So that may be the reason why we proposed it here. That's really the best reason. Mark, do you happen to know what your queuing requirement is?
The ordinance is non-specific with respect to the distance, but under the old ordinance, 4 cars minimum, not including the vehicle at the window. So that's our general standard that we still apply. So.
And Mr. Termina, if I may, Mr. President, are you comfortable as a planner with the queue line being along the western portion of the building as with this island? Or would you prefer that cars be able to just pull straight in from Newburgh and line up?
No, I think it's better to have the additional stacking away from the entry coming into the road.
Okay. As the petition, thanks, Mr. Termina, are you willing to get rid of the drive-through, or is that something that you want to keep?
Well, in regards to your question there, furthermore, we think it's important to delineate the drive-through from oncoming traffic. While I can empathize with the hard turn that someone might be trying to make there, I think for safety's sake, instead of having a queuing line and then someone coming in off of Newburgh, that might end up causing some issues. As far as our attachment to the drive-through, it is something that we like to offer at our locations. We offer it as a convenience to our customers. It's part of our shtick, right? We're the ultimate one-stop shop, and we want to be able to serve anybody any way that they want to. That's what I'll say for now.
Okay. And I'll just note that thank you for the brick color changes, by the way. I think it is more appealing and more keeping with that residential area with some of the buildings and how they operate and whatnot. So I do like the less emphasis on the red and more emphasis on those neutral colors, those darker colors. So thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anything else from council before I go to the audience? I do have one question, if I may. So going back to the hours of operation for the drive-through and stuff like that, is it Sheet's intention to be 24 hours?
Yes,
What happens if it's not?
we wouldn't exist.
Okay.
All of our locations are 24/7, 365. Unfortunately, that is hate to say this, but that is a line in the sand for us.
Gotcha.
To reiterate some of the things that were mentioned earlier, we did look into the hours restriction because it was brought up at the Planning Commission. It is of our opinion the city does not have the ability to restrict hours as part of site plan approval, especially because it has never done so. Signaling out sheets when there are other 24/7 uses within the city that are far closer to residential could pose an issue.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Before I go to the residents, through me to Carter. Carter, do we have a city we cannot restrict their hours? I would at least like to get some information on that. I won't put you on the spot, but just to note it.
We're happy to review that. The petitioner is accurate in saying that we have not done this
Yeah.
in this context before.
Yeah, it's just to ask the question. So, Councilman Toy.
Thank you. Sir, as he said, would the drive-through, if we didn't have a drive-through, would that hurt you in that respect as far as your proposal?
Drive-through is a pretty big item for us, but if it pleases the council, that is something I'm prepared to eliminate.
Okay. And I got to ask you this question because, obviously we've seen your organization or your businesses on TV and the different areas that you've requested, and now obviously you're in Livonia again. Is there any other site in our city that you've looked at that would be, I'm just looking at the dollars you're willing to spend, which I appreciate for our city, but is there any other spot that you guys have really considered, and why would you want to spend this kind of money if you want to, get closer like an expressway or, somewhere like that? I mean, you got a great location down by the airport. That's awesome. Do you know what I'm saying to you? I've never really
Yeah, why here?
knocked your business, but why here? You know what I'm saying? The site is like, I just can't imagine why you want to do and go through all these hoops.
Yeah, so two things to that. We do extensive work when we are looking at acquiring land.
Okay.
We don't spend $10+ million lightly, right?
Right.
We believe that the location will be a success. We believe that it's something that the residents of Livonia and the travelers in the surrounding area will use. We think it's a great location. And that's, that really is kind of what it is. We do lots of studying, we do lots of analytics, and we believe in it. I would respectfully, that is not so much a site plan approval question. That's more of a use question, which is not something that we're discussing this evening.
Well, I agree, except if I'm going to approve a site plan, I kind of want to know why you want to use the property. I mean, sorry, it seems rather logical, but yeah, thank you.
Councilman Toy, thank you.
Yeah,
I want to ask, point of information to Carter. I want to make sure, obviously, we're getting, the petitioners throwing out very legalese comments, and I want to make sure we're not impacting that with, obviously, any future proceedings of legalities. But I do think it's fair that we ask these questions that would pertain to use with hours, with the drive-through, because I think that is prudent, and I just want to make sure we're not going to get in trouble. But we've already heard twice from the petitioner that we're not allowed to do that.
So in terms of what questions you're allowed to ask during a site plan review, there's no guidance to my knowledge in terms of what information you're allowed to seek as a body as it pertains to site plan. In terms of what we're allowed to regulate via site plan review, that's a different question. As noted, I'll review the hours question, and questions related to location I can review as well if you'd like me to. I would say location questions are more related to use than site plan.
I'm just making sure we're not getting ourselves into any hot water, obviously. And then with the petitioner, or with the audience communication, just to let the audience know, is there any requirements that they cannot bring up the use questions, or is that open? I want to get it on record to make sure we're doing things right.
yeah, I get it.
So generally, we require when folks are making comments on an agenda item that they restrict their comments to that agenda item.
Yes.
As you've noted, there is sort of a blurred line between what qualifies as a use question and a site plan question, and they're not directing questions to the petitioner. So in general, they're allowed to comment because how would we delineate between those two things?
Absolutely. I just want on record, I appreciate you. I can jump back to you if you had a comment.
Yeah, if I may, I want to apologize. No disrespect with those comments.
No, I just...
As the attorney indicated, these things can get very gray, so I was just using my experience as a land
and I
developer to help.
appreciate, obviously from that vantage point, I appreciate bringing that up, but at the same sense, just as you want to build a business in the city, we have some gray areas. We just want to get some questions answered. So
100%.
Thank you. Councilwoman Budzinski.
Yeah, I know we want to get to the audience, but I just have one other question. Again, I'm not quite sure where it goes, whether to Carter or not. But just in a precautionary sense, because we are next to public land, a creek, an environmental wetland, in the case that there were, something that went wrong, on a larger scale with the gas system, where does the liability lie in cleanup? And does that burden on the city? Again, where I don't know who that is directed to. Is there a way that we can enter an agreement that Sheets covers any costs related to, an environmental incident that requires, meeting of state or federal standards? I just want to make sure, again, given the location, that the city is protected from any worst case scenario that, again, I wouldn't expect to happen, but You never know what can happen in the future.
Councilwoman Budzinski, before, and you quote me if I'm wrong here, but as someone that has to do exactly what you used to do, the EPA has a suspected release form, which means that there are programs, if there's a release of, I don't know the exact amount of gas, but I'm sure Sheets would follow this, is it would have to be opened up through the EPA, third party comes in, and they basically do the environmental check. You can see how close I was to that, but I think in general, there's third
Yes,
party
that's part of it. So it's, to answer your question, the liability generally falls to Sheets. So the state of Michigan requires Sheets to have, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's a $2 million bond on each of our locations, which, we gladly put up, that's used towards issues that hopefully never occur. It's much easier to prevent those things than to spend millions of dollars cleaning them up. But Sheets is a very large corporation. Our environmental departments are the only departments I'm aware of in our company that do not have budgets exactly for this reason. If something like that happens, it's part of our mandate, our internal mandate. We fix it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
And I will note, Councilman Budzinski, I remember when I was in the military, we were in Chinook helicopters, and we had a fuel spill on our tarmac area, and it was the biggest deal in the world. It was, you would have thought that, we blew up a whole building. They cut out all the concrete. It was pretty extensive, and I remember just thinking, like, it really was that big of a deal. It was a small fuel spill. But they handle it very seriously, and that was in the military. So I can only imagine the private regulations between the cities and the counties and the state, and then the federal bodies. So I imagine that they're going to be safe there, and if they mess up. And to your point, sir, it's much cheaper to keep track of your site than it is to deal with cleanups. I can only imagine what kind of headache that's got to be.
And I wouldn't expect that to happen. It's not a question to question your guys'
No, I
maintenance,
understand.
but it is just information to know going into a situation, again, where a lot of concerns are revolved around the environment, just kind of what can we expect? Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to the audience now. So anybody that would like to speak, make your way to the podiums, name and address. You have 2 minutes. And thank you, sir, for the information.
Thank you.
And rundown. It's appreciated. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Attorney Ali Barrow with the Barrow Law Firm. I was asked to be here by several residents of the city of Livonia. I'm here to address serious procedural and legal issues surrounding the ZBA May 6, 2025 decision to grant a variance at the corner of the 8 Mile in Newburgh. Let me begin by reminding everyone of the larger context. Earlier this year, and I was here for that decision, the council voted 5-2 to deny the petitioner's request to rezone the property from a C1 to a Z2. A decision that was properly reflected through extensive, thoughtful, and deliberate review. Yet just weeks later, the ZBA, the very body appointed by this council, effectively overturned your decision by granting a variance that allows the very same use. So I'm going to discuss the two issues that I was asked to discuss because these are two serious issues, especially within the law. First is a procedural issue. The ZBA sent a public notice stating that the petitioner was seeking to establish a gasoline service station in a local commercial business district C1. Only later to find out, upon the May 9 letter by the ZBA granting that variance directed to Mr. John Iliff, the owner of the property, the variance approval included a gasoline service station, limited carryout, and drive-through window. Those two additional operational uses, carry out and drive-through, are also prohibited in a C1 district and would each require separate variances and separate public notice. The omission of those uses in the notice and agenda deprive the residents, the city of Livonia, the legal right to be heard. And that is why there are many people here today to ensure that their voices are heard. Going on to the substantive issue here, the failure to meet legal standards for the variance. Even setting aside the notice issue, the ZBA failed to follow 4 required conditions it outlines at every meeting, the same 4 found in the Michigan Zoning Enable Act, MCL 125.3604. This board's very own statement says if any of these conditions cannot be met, the board has no right to grant a variance. First condition, hardship. The petitioner did not establish an unnecessary hardship as defined by law.
That's time, sir. I'm sorry.
I understand.
No, listen, guys, honestly, right now, I will open it up to council if they would like to vote on this. I'll put it there because this is but,
Mr. President?
yes.
A question to our law department, since this is a study, in a regular, we could make a motion, the appetite of the council, to extend one person's time. Can we make motions in a study to extend a particular person's time?
You can make motions in.
Hey, guys. Hey, listen. Listen, we got to keep decorum in this meeting. I appreciate it. You can't be, listen, right now, sir, you cannot speak from the audience. I'm sorry.
And Mr. President, I'll note, to council, thank you for being here this evening, sir. You as an attorney understand that councils have rules and procedures that every single city council has. He's a professional. Thank you for being here this evening, sir. And I'm inclined to give an attorney an additional 2 minutes to speak because he's in a particular situation. You're unique. You're an attorney representing multiple people. I'm okay with that. But to the audience, this is official business. There are rules. You can't give everybody infinite amount of time because we'll be here until 3 o'clock in the morning. There are rules. We treat everybody fairly and equitably. We have to have rules. Every city council has rules. We're not doing anything different than we've done for decades. So to our city attorney, if you think we are within our purview to have a motion at a study to take a vote on granting additional time.
Sure. So to clarify, the rules related to timing specifically laid out in the ordinance relate to both timing for regular meetings and study and committee meetings. And it also stipulates that you can make that motion to grant more time in any of those settings.
Okay. Mr. President.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to allow this individual an additional 2 minutes.
Support.
With
And
support.
Mr. President, the reason my motion is because you are an attorney, you're representing a number of people, and it's my professional courtesy to you to give you those additional 2 minutes. I'm not okay with giving everybody additional time because again, there's rules, but sir, because of your position, I think it's fair that we do that as one member.
Speaking on the item?
Yeah, to
Okay.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, to Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, in the past, and when I've served on this council, it was allowed that an audience member such as these could go ahead and give them his 2 minutes, or any member that's standing up at the podium. I don't know what your feeling is in 2025 on that, but
So,
I would
if I may,
like to
Councilman
know
Toye?
so that if this proceeds,
Yeah.
at least we know the ground rules.
And Carter, before you, if I may.
Yes.
So guys, listen, everybody wants to talk. I'm happy that you're bringing subject matter and I agree with Councilman Donovic. I just want to let the audience know, I want to keep the rest of it to 2 minutes, if that is amicable. And please, I know everybody, you just got to know we have to run the rules of the meeting. So I want you guys to get your time with this. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I'm not going to say every person
Yes.
that comes up to the podium. This gentleman, I think, is bringing forth, as my colleague has said, the other side, and to grant him more time is a thing to do. But also, it's been done before,
Absolutely.
quite frankly, Mr. President,
I
at
appreciate
least
it.
in my number of Abraham Lincoln years. Thank you.
Well, let me ask, is 2 minutes enough that you can finish with?
It should suffice. If I could get 3 minutes, that'd be great.
Is it fine just to give them 3?
Now you're asking too much. Mr. President, I'd like to amend my motion to 3 minutes.
Support.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 3 minutes is yours.
Thank you to the City Council. As I was touching up on the 4 points that fall under the hardship condition. First is the hardship. The petitioner did not establish the unnecessary hardship as defined by law. And I won't go too far into that. I'm going to jump on to the next point. Second is impact on neighbors. Many of the members of this community actually did a community research. They found that the 400 residents that immediately neighbor the vicinity of where this proposal is supposed to take place, 95% of those people said no to building a Sheetz there. That is 95% of 400 people. That is a huge number. I'm not the best at math. That's why I became a lawyer. I don't know what that number is, but it's 95%. Third point, consistency with the master plan. This very city has a 20-year vision for the Green Med Historical Park Corridor. This is completely contrary to a Green Med Historical Park Corridor. Fourth, compliance with ordinances. There are 2 ordinances specifically that are in violation. First, Section 6.51 of the Livonia zoning ordinance explicitly prohibits drive-through or drive-up restaurants in C1 districts. Those uses are permitted only in a C2 as a waiver or in C3 outright. Second, Chapter 5.36 of the Code of Ordinances prohibits any new gasoline service station within 100 feet of a public park or place where large groups gather. I know there was some discussion here previously about Green Med and Whispering Willows. Well, I've spoken to several people, from several residents of the city of Livonia. They all indicated that it is not, it's within 93 feet. There's 93 feet distance between Green Med and the gas station, and then we got to take into consideration Whispering Willows. Is that a public gathering? Well, many of us here in the room would say it is. On to my third and last point. Members of the council, this is an issue not just about one corner lot, it's about the integrity of Livonia's zoning process. When a quasi-judicial body like the ZBA can overrule your legislative authority, ignore legal notice requirements, rely on misleading data, and contradict the city's own ordinances, it sets a dangerous precedent for every neighborhood in this city. We are asking respectfully, and I am asking on behalf of the residents of this great city, which was founded on mom and pop shops, not these conglomerate corporations that come in, change things up, are going to open up a 24/7 next to a park where they're serving alcohol. Sheetz has had issues with criminal activity in the past. I have those documents. I came before City Council earlier this year, and I provided those documents where Sheetz was having issues with criminal activity. How are we going to prevent that here in the city of Livonia when you have two parks directly surrounding this location? We are asking respectfully but firmly that this council take the steps necessary to rescind the ZBA's May 6, 2025 variance and reaffirm your original decision denying rezoning to C2. And even if this body does not have the authority to rescind the ZBA's decision, you have the authority to deny the site planning. That is exactly what everyone in this room, or I can say majority of this room, is asking of. So thank you for your time, and I thank you for that motion greatly.
Thank you. Look at that. Wow. Should go to the casino. I was right on, man. Good evening. Name and address, sir.
Yeah, good evening. My name's Willard Lindley, and I'm at 20218 Edgewood Avenue. Basically, I'd like to state that an ordinance is an authoritative law that's to be followed by local government in its decision-making, top to bottom. There aren't any exceptions. Because ordinances are law, they can't be violated. They need to be followed by all. That means you. That means the Zoning Board of Appeals also. They're required to follow the law, and they didn't. Chapter 536.05 of the Code of Ordinances addresses local restrictions around new gas stations. As it pertains to this corner, it says no gasoline service station shall be built within 100 feet of a public park or a place where a public gathers. That's Greenmead, which is 94 feet across the street, and it's immediately adjacent to Whispering Willows. I can't imagine lining up a putt and listening to Sheetz 24/7 loudspeakers blasting out. On the master plan, Whispering Willows is designated a public park and is going to Commissioner or Councilwoman Toy. You wonder why the city didn't buy it in the first place? They did plan for it to be eventually zoned recreational. That's in the master plan. We also have another park right across the street, and everybody, of course, knows Greenmead. It's a park where a lot of people gather on a regular basis. Section 6.513A of the zoning ordinance addresses restrictions on restaurant drive-throughs. It clearly states that a drive-up window is not only permitted, or is only permitted in C2.
That's time, Mr. Lindley.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll give on that.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Can I make a comment?
Can't. 2 minutes are up. I'm sorry. I wish I would.
On 5 and 7 Mile,
just
you
have
guys
someone else.
paved the two worst
Mr. Lindley,
roads.
I hear you.
And
I hear you.
5 and 7 Mile are now the best roads in the city.
Listen,
Thank you.
you're one of my favorite Rotarians, but I got to tell you, your minutes are done. That was Wayne County, even though we represent it. We get you.
Darn it.
It's good to see you as always.
You get blamed for that. We didn't
We
do it.
do, we didn't do
I
it.
think Mr. Donovic was the one behind that, but that's cool. Good evening.
Hattie Riggio, 37204 Brenton Drive. If you live in Willow Woods, Gulf Ridge, or Deer Creek, please raise your hand. These people are some of the people that I am representing. We have golf courses, we have parks in Livonia. They are great places. When you think of our golf courses and our parks, think of what's adjacent to them. How many of them have a gas station, drive-through, and carry-out adjacent to them? None. Why? Because we plan that way, right? We have ordinances in place, and for the safety of the people and the property around it, right? This is what you guys do. We follow ordinances, right? We put them in place and we follow them. We have an ordinance that says no gas station shall be constructed or open within 100 feet radius of any park, public place where the public gather. That's Greenmead and Whispering Willows. In the city charter, it also states that the city council has the power to enact all ordinances deemed necessary for the establishment, maintenance, and protection of all parks and recreational facilities. You're the city council. You have the power to enact the ordinances. Just sitting here, I was Googling some other information. Kroger gas station hours are 6 to 10, Costco 8 to 8:30, Marathon 5:30 to 12:30, Mobile 5:30 to 11. How do those guys have restricted hours? I mean, if we're gonna play Sheets' game, let's restrict their hours. Additionally, I was just Googling, Sheets had gas station leaks on August 4th at York County, Pennsylvania. They also had a gas station leak on October 4th, 2025 at Strongsville, Ohio. So gas station leaks happen all the time.
Time. Thank you. Yes, we'll go to,
Hi, Cindy Fleming, Livonia. I just wanted to say, it was mentioned that City Council had never approved a site plan with limited hours. And it's my recollection that both the Walmart stores were restricted. They wanted to be 24-hour establishments, and they were restricted as part of their site plan with the city because it didn't fit within our master plan.
thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Nick Lamaco, 20154 Edgewood Avenue here in Livonia. I'm here to recommend to you that you turn this request down. I'm suggesting that because I believe that the actions of the ZBA were inappropriate. I attended the ZBA meeting, and like the attorney said in front of you, I came to the meeting and saw on the agenda that they were asking for a gasoline service station. And then as the meeting went along, at the end of that meeting, the chairman and others interacted with the applicant and said, well, you want to have additional uses added to that request? And they said, of course that we did. And so that happened without public notice, and I thought that was inappropriate and, quite honestly, illegal. The other point that was also mentioned had to deal with the unnecessary hardship and what that meant. An unnecessary hardship under the law simply means this, that present zoning does not permit an economically viable use from being established on the property. Nowhere that evening was that topic ever mentioned or discussed. The criteria that was used by the ZBA didn't even come close to that. And so I think that the recommendation of the ZBA is improper, and as a result of that, the site plan should not have come in front of you this evening for your consideration at all. The remedy of that is to have a new notice and a new hearing that to be held. If you don't know it right now, some people of your community are now engaging with the courts to seek redress of this issue. And I'm one of those people, just so that you know that. I believe in process. I believe in holding people accountable to that process and standards, and I don't believe your ZBA acted properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Laura Shoemaker. I live at 36269 Club Drive. We've been having some communications with the Friends of the Rouge, and although they couldn't make it here this evening, they wanted us to share their concerns and some comments. In the packet sent to you prior to this meeting, everyone received Friends of the Rouge 2025 Spring Bug Hunt Data Report. This report is a recap of the biannual program led by the Friends of the Rouge to monitor the health of the watershed by sampling the creeks of the Rouge River. Ratings are given to every branch of the Rouge system based on the type and number of organisms found in the water. The healthier the water, the higher the score each organism has, since each organism has a sensitivity to organic pollution. The streams that run through the Whispering Willows, Fox Creek, and Idlewild golf courses, and also through Bicentennial and Rotary Parks, are part of what is called the Bell Branch. Obviously, this encompasses the stream just down the hill from the southern border of the site plan at 8 Mile and Newburgh. In summary, the Bell Branch doesn't rate very well. The Stream Quality Index was rated fair. The water quality rating was rated fair to poor, and the chloride rating was labeled toxic. The Friends of the Rouge is very concerned about opening a gasoline service station so close to the streams that then lead all through the city of Livonia, then into the main Rouge River. Fuel spills, tank failure, and storm runoff will travel to stream just steps away. Nothing can prevent this from happening. Water runs downhill and seeks its own level. The Friends of the Rouge ask that you not approve a gasoline station on this corner. The risks are too great to both Livonia streams and its green areas and to the Rouge River downstream. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi. Paula Bullington, 20558 Hickory Lane. We're the last subdivision in Livonia off of 8 and 275. And I would like to address what Laura, excuse me, yes, Ms. Toy said. The question is why? Why do we need a Sheetz, a 24/7, 365 establishment, according to their own website at 8 Mile and Newburgh Road? We currently have, in a 3-mile radius from Farmington Road to Haggerty, 5 to 8 Mile, 5 grocery stores and 1 under construction, 6 gas stations and 1 under construction. If we include the east side of Farmington Road and the west side of Haggerty Road and the 2 grocery stores being built, we increase the total of grocery stores to 12. Gas stations with the same inclusion become 11. We also have multiple fast food and restaurants to satisfy our varied tastes. How many more do we need? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm Dave Hall, 37300 West 8 Mile, Farmington Hills. I hope you listen to me. Unlike Mr. Morgan stated last time, why should we listen to Farmington people? Well, this is directly across from my house. The traffic, Commissioner Budzinski, you had mentioned the traffic. I've looked at all your profiles. I challenge you to come in my driveway at 8 o'clock in the morning with your kids in the car now, because we take our kids to school, our grandkids. I've got to make a left out of that property every single day. I'm going to get T-boned. It's not if, it's when. And I'm going to hold people responsible. This is not right, putting this Sheetz here. The traffic's going to be terrible. When they open up, have they even thought about the day they open up? How crazy it's going to be? It's going to be nuts. You guys have a plan for this? That's about all I have to say. Just personally, man, we don't need it. This is going to cause harm to my family.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jim Katurba. I live in the Willowwood subdivision. I'll make it short and sweet. In July of this year, it was reported in the Detroit News that in Oakland County, Sheetz was paying a commissioner to be a paid consultant on their behalf. Sounds pretty shady to me, and I believe it's a huge conflict of interest, probably unethical, if not illegal in my opinion. So Sheetz is not this innocent entity here. They will do or say anything they want to get what they want. So let me just get to the point and ask Mr. Alex over
No,
here.
you,
Are
sir,
you willing
sir,
to
sir,
disclose?
You got to direct your
Is
questions
he
to me.
willing to disclose right now if Sheetz has paid anyone in Livonia city government like you did in Oakland County?
Thank you, sir. Hey, good
No
evening.
response.
Sandra Moore, 20185 Ellen Drive. Dear members of the City Council, as I understand it, decades ago, this property was residential, and a request was made to alter the zoning to C1, allowing for a wide variety of over 20 categories of local, low-impact businesses. That change allowed the property owner to benefit while the area was not negatively affected. Now, however, the property owner was granted variances allowing for a business that would otherwise be located in a zoned C3 highway services district. As you know, this northwest corner of Livonia is filled with recreational areas in Greenmead. A business that is classified in our own Livonia Vision 21 zoning ordinances as being a highway services district simply does not and never did belong here. This is not the proper location for this business, and the vast majority of local residents agree. It's not about the Sheetz Corporation moving in. It's been about maintaining this ecological area. Tonight, this process that I've heard about leaves me wondering if input from residents has any value compared to the legal budget of a corporation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Greg Malco, I live in Gulfridge Villa. Why the corner of 8 Mile and Newburgh? Since day one, the only answer we ever got from Sheetz was to fill a great need and demand. We haven't opened a gas station in Livonia in over 10 years, and you just gave Costco the green light to double their size on Haggerty Road to 30 pumps. There isn't a need and demand, and now there's even less, and it's shrinking every day. The need and demand that they were talking about is Sheetz' need and demand. So what does Sheetz need? It's been all over news. Sheetz needs to open 50 gas stations in the state of Michigan. The jobs of the people in this room depend on delivering that to their Pennsylvania headquarters. So what does Sheetz demand? To meet their needs, Sheetz demands that the city of Livonia bend to their will. And I hate to say it, but we've been talking about this today, and it's our own doing, the fact that we're still talking about this. Let me recap. The ZBA did not give proper legal notice. The ZBA ignored all 4 of its stated requirements for granting a variance. And both the ZBA and Planning Commission ignored 2 governing and critical ordinances, the master plan and the Greenmead master plan. And worst of all, they ignored the citizens. Now Sheetz is moving its demand once again to the City Council. Back in January, you said no to them by a convincing margin of 5-2. You slammed the door on this once, you need to do it again, while undoing the damage done by the ZBA and Planning Commission. We have rules and ordinances that need to be followed, and this body has been elected to enforce them. Do not change this corner forever. To do so would place a scar on this green designated landscape. It would be
Mr.
this
Rocco.
council's legacy.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, sir. Name and address. You got 2 minutes.
Hi. My name is John Finling. I live in Deer Creek and been a proud Livonia resident for many, many years. And my good friend from college, Ron Ranke, got me to move here. I'm a grandpa. I got an 8-year-old that lives in my house, and his name is, or he calls me Pops. He says, Pops, I love going to the Looney Baker, and I love going to Bates. And he says, hey, look at that sign. That sign says Livonia, Michigan. That's where I live. And it says, families first. Families first, please. Okay, my last comment is this. I don't know who constructed this end run around, but I'm a Spartan family, and we need whoever did that, get up to Lansing and help us.
I thought you were talking about Stevenson, man. I'm about to say go Patriots.
Mr. President, for the record, go blue.
Go Lawrence.
Ditto.
Blue Devils, guys, right here. Good
Hi,
evening.
my name is Roderick Gill. I live in Whispering Willows, and I'm here to ask Mr. Carter.
So just point it to me, and then, just
Will-
address me. He can hear you.
Whispering Willows Golf Course, where people go and have fun and gather. I want to know if that's a park or what. Explain that to me.
So this is your time right now. I know we did ask our city attorney to give us new data. He's going to do some research on it to confirm and give us an idea on that specific question.
Okay, and also Speedway on 7 Mile in Newburgh, they have a big sign there that says you can't make a left turn onto Newburgh. They go through it all the time. And now they're going to put one over there, supposedly at Sheets. They're not going to pay attention to that. They're going to turn there. There's going to be traffic. There's going to be accidents. Okay? And what about during the winter, during the snow? Where are they going to put that? It's going to go behind the gas station, and it's going to go right into the Bell River. That's what I would like to know, because they said they got fences on the Newburgh side. So where is that dump for the snow going to go? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more audience communication? If there is, just keep making your way to the podiums. Good evening.
Good evening, Eileen McDonald. Maybe council can ask the Sheets Corporation what their plans are for signage, because, Livonia doesn't have billboards along the freeways. They don't have any kind of signs, come to Sheets, turn left as you're exiting the freeway. So, we definitely don't allow large signs that tower up in the sky. So how are they going to draw business to them? That area is it's not very populated just because of the golf course and Greenmead. And, it's just not appropriate for that location. And also, I know they talked a little bit about filling in that property to level it off. How are they going to go about doing that? So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, Judy Weiser. I also live in Willow Woods, and we built the house. They were actually constructed in 1989. So I think most of the people here are affected and directly live there. And I'm assuming Sheets is being built for us. They see that, we need this here. I'm not going to go there. I don't think anybody else here is going to go there. We're not going to support you. The other thing I'd like to say is just recently, due to the incentives, a lot of people have been buying electric vehicles. My family is one of them. We probably wouldn't have done that without the incentives, but now that we have one, we love it. So we really don't need any more gas stations.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Evening, Frank Angler, Wisconsin Street. This is something that I appreciate everyone coming out here and being supportive of not having Sheets here. That's their right, that's their opinion. I was just at Sheets today, actually, in Ohio, Illinois. I was driving all over the place today. But I'm looking at it, and how much money they're putting into the city could be a good thing. And I mean, you have residents that live there. They're very passionate about the communities they live in, so they are looking at it that way. But you also have to look at the other aspect of it and bringing jobs here, bringing money here. Right now, there's a Rite Aid right there. It's just sitting there. Like I said, we have places all over the place in Livonia. Where I live, Eastside Mario's. It's been sitting there, 6, 7 years? At one point, I thought like a Griffin Claw Brewery was going to come there. That never happened. Like I said, we got to a point where, what makes sense? Are we going to let buildings sit here, or are we going to say, hey, we can work on this? There's a lot of things that can be changed. Yes, that's why we're here. That's why this has been going back and forth. To no's and yes, back to the zoning board, back to city council. But there couldn't be some compromise. And like I said, Everyone has some kind of agenda on this. We have the residents who don't want it because they live there. I mean, if I lived there, I might be the same way. You have a lawyer come in here who appears to represent the gas stations that are locally owned. That's an agenda there too. So he has that point too. But there has to be something. Because I think that Sheetz is going to keep going and asking for things. And they have money. They're a corporation. But I'm hearing all these stories about Sheetz is bad, that you can't go there after midnight because there's pedos. That is false information. Okay? I keep hearing those stories, and it's ridiculous. So let's work on something together.
That's time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, you're good. So with that, I'm going to go back to council. I want to thank you guys all for keeping it above board.
Civil.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr.
Councilman
President.
Donovan, then the Vice President.
Quiet down. There were a lot of good questions and some comments that the residents brought up, so I have a few additional questions for the petitioner and Mr. Tormina. Mr. Tormina, I know there's significant conversation around ZBA, and I do not purport to be an attorney. Attorneys can get in a room, they can argue amongst themselves all day long, and until they're blue in the face, we're all very educated and whatnots, and I'm not going to pretend to be one and kind of decipher the law and interpret it and so on and so forth. That's why they spend all this money at law school and do what they do. Does our zoning, just plainly put, does the zoning that they're under right now, again, we're not talking about the zoning to the petitioner's point, we're talking about site plan, does that zoning allow for 24-hour uses?
Yes.
Okay, so the zoning that they have, that we have no authority over now, does allow for 24-hour usage. To the petitioner, alcohol and trucks. Can you elaborate on alcohol, beer and wine and spirits, and then also trucks? And when I say trucks, not my Dodge Ram, my actual large, box trucks and semi trucks specifically.
Yeah, City of Livonia ordinance does not allow the sale of alcohol at our type of establishment. We do not intend to sell
Sorry,
alcohol.
point of order. I can't hear, Mr. President.
Hey guys, if we could, just with if there's any kind of background noise, just please keep it low. Appreciate it.
Yes, so City of Livonia ordinance does not permit the sale of alcohol through gas station convenience stores. We do not intend to sell any. As far as trucks, I'm assuming you're asking if we are a truck stop.
Mm-hmm.
We are not.
No truck
not
stop.
At this location, no.
Why aren't you a truck stop?
There's not enough land here for that. Our first location in the state of Michigan down in Romulus sits on 10 plus acres, plenty of land there. This is 1.5, something like that. Trucks would not even want to come here. There's not enough land to maneuver in and out. We're not offering high flow diesel. We're not offering bulk diesel exhaust fluid. There is no amenities for them. There's no attraction to it. Truck stops are only about 7% of our business. The other 93% are locations exactly like this. It's on approximately 2 acres in community centers all over the Mid-Atlantic.
Interesting. And I know, I'm assuming you know this, but we don't allow billboards in Livonia. I know there was a comment about signage, and the signage that you guys are going to, if this is approved, you will go through a traditional administrative process for signage, and if it's greater than what our ordinance allows for, you go through the ZBA, and they're allowed to grant you signage waivers. But you understand that there's no billboards in Livonia, and you're not going to have some sort of monument signs on the side of the freeway at 8 in Newburgh or 8 in Haggerty, right?
Yeah, so the signage plan that we're proposing, I believe, is already in compliance. We intend to comply with the zoning ordinance. We're not putting up some type of a sky sign. It's not a truck stop. That's something that we would do there along a highway.
And then, can you talk about tank capacity? I know there's been significant conversation around tanks and environmental concerns. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit on your capacity of tanks, and is it standard tanks in the marketplace? How does that work?
Yeah, so here we're proposing 6 individual tanks. 4 would be 12,000 gallon, 2 would be 15,000 gallon. That's a total of 78,000 gallons. That is a standard offer for sheets of this size. Our truck stops obviously would have more gallons attributed to them. It's a very standard offer for what we do.
How does that compare to other gas stations in the marketplace? Is that normal, 78,000 gallons? of capacity?
I honestly couldn't comment on what other businesses do.
Okay, that's fair. And then lastly, for now, I'll stop. You talked earlier about detention. I know there's some conversation about, for example, great question about storage of snow we have to think about here. And you're not afraid of that. Coming from Pennsylvania, you guys have a lot of snow out there. So is there existing, maybe this is a question for our city engineer, is there existing stormwater detention at this site? I'm assuming not, because it was built so long ago. And I know to today's codes and regulations for the county, you have to put underground stormwater detention, so that will stop oils and whatnot from going into our lakes and riverbeds and groundwater and whatnot, correct?
Correct, yes. So I do not believe there's any current storm detention on this site. There might be. It's a little bit irrelevant. But yes, we are proposing an underground storm detention system. In addition to all the controls I mentioned earlier about protecting the waterways from fuel and debris, its other function is to detain water in heavy rain events to help prevent flooding.
Sure. Okay, that's my question for now. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I am going to go to the petitioner in just a second, but through the chair, basically to the residents, if I may. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know this is an important issue for a lot of you, and your emotions and feelings can run high and that's because you care about our community, as do we. And it really, the respectful dialogue tonight, I really appreciate that. And it allows us to hear your voices and to make the best decision that we can for Livonia. So I just wanted to thank everyone tonight for that. So a couple of the questions I had, I know the Speedway at 7 in Newburgh is 24 hours. By the way, to the residents, I live in your neighborhoods, or your neighbor, well, one of your neighborhoods. But so I'm very familiar with this part of the city, and I have never found that to be an issue, that Speedway being 24 hours. What I am more concerned about is the drive-through and the traffic there, and I know we'll have some more conversations about that. I know Mr. Donvik slightly started touching on the snow removal. I know they talked about that at the Planning Commission. Maybe you could just expound on that a little bit more, because I'm not quite fully grasping that part of it.
Yeah, so we intend to plant salt-resistant plantings throughout all our landscaping areas. So heavy snow events, it'll be pushed into our landscaping areas. I am from the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, actually from Ohio, so go Buckeyes. You guys are going to turn me down just for that. It's funny because I live in Ann Arbor now. I don't know how I managed to do that. I'm sorry. But to answer your question, we're very attuned to removing large amounts of snow. We have locations like in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, right off the end of Lake Erie that just get feet and feet of snow. We have all sorts of policies and procedures in place to actually truck off snow. We have to actually remove it from the roofs out there. Yeah. It's an operation to see in and of itself.
Thank you. Hopefully we won't get that kind of snow.
Yeah, I don't think we will, but.
But it's good to know that you guys are prepared for that. I appreciate that. Honestly, I have heard from countless residents in the last couple weeks about this, and I've heard from, it's been almost a 50-50 split. I know that's not what we saw tonight as much, but it's interesting to hear everybody's perspective on this. That's all I have, Mr. President, for now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Councilwoman Toy, then I have Councilwoman Budzinski.
Mr. Chair, a couple of points some of the colleagues brought up, which were good ones. Sir, on the snow, I hear you say with that site, it's kind of a tight site, if you will, with the walls and things that you're investing in. Can you bring in trucks? Would the plan be to bring in trucks to haul out the snow? Because I don't see where you put that snow when we get some heavy snowfalls here. We also get summers that last till the end of October, it seems like. But
what is this?
You just you can't predict the weather. So I appreciate anything you can do to get that snow out of there, because with snow, a lot of times it comes ice, and you know what happens. I don't need to go into that. Second of all, the signage. Would you know if your organization or business or corporation, whatever you want to call it, is going to plan any signage along the expressway? Because we do have billboards on the expressway, and I do notice on social media that you guys do have ads there, and quite frankly, there's nothing to prevent you, which is fine. It's America, I hope, still. to where you have freedom of speech to say, opening a new location, come, offer coupons or whatever on those social media sites. So to say that you may or may not, just wondered in those areas, I don't know if you're the marketing person necessarily, but.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I am not the marketing person.
Okay.
Those are my least favorite classes in school. I am more of the analytical engineer person, but I honestly, I do not have that information for you. I can speculate that, we will use marketing avenues at our disposal, but I can't confirm that for you one way or another.
And so you wouldn't know about the billboards on the expressways, because we have several, surrounding our city.
Are you talking actual billboards
Yeah,
or the
actual
blue?
billboards. No, actual billboards.
Oh, actual billboards?
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen Sheets billboards. Whether we will use them here or not, I do not know.
Okay. And maybe you didn't like marketing because, just a question, you might have went to Ohio State? Just joking with you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Budzinski.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good? All right.
I guess I have some more questions. Sorry, I really dived deep into the site plan stuff. Sir, so when we talk back to lighting, as you heard earlier, my belief is we should not have any illumination on the exterior canopy. What sort of lighting is on the actual sides of the building? We've received complaints from residents and people driving by on the roadway that their lights are shooting out into the road and they're blinding. There's a few gas stations I've seen in town. And again, they do it for safety, but they end up having illumination pointing straight out, and you're driving at 10 o'clock at night, and you have these glaring lights. So any lighting that you would have would be shielded downwards, I'm assuming?
Yeah, even that lighting that I described you earlier around the canopy is facing downward, all completely shielded. You cannot see any of the lights directly on our site unless you're actually looking up at them. So there is no glare that comes off our site. Our lighting plan shows that there is no lighting trespass beyond our property lines.
And I just will disagree with you on thank you for the light shielding. I appreciate it, and thank you for that. But I do disagree on the illumination of the glowing, just because, again, I'm trying to be sympathetic to, if this were to move forward, to those residents on the north side of 8 Mile. Again, from my perspective, it's subjective, but you're on 8 Mile Road. You're on a main thoroughway. It's an existing commercial building. We're still doing commercial. I would love nothing more than this to be a medical office building that goes 9 to 5. But that's not the reality. Right now, it's a retail building, and we don't, as a council, as a city, don't tell the landowner and the petitioner what sort of development to present before us. We have to deliberate on what is presented before us. So while I personally would like to see a lesser intensive use of a medical office building 9 to 5, that's not what's being proposed to us tonight. And as we've heard, the existing zoning does allow for even though I don't want it, I do not want a 24-hour operation. You would have to voluntarily do that to limit those hours of operation. I don't believe we have the authority to limit those hours, since the existing zoning allows for 24-hour usage. But those are just my personal opinions, and those will not stand up to attorneys and challenges in court. Just because I may or may not want something, because residents, understandably so, may or may not want a gas station at this corner, those aren't legal reasons. And we operate in a world where there are attorneys and judges and consent judgments and lawsuits. And I just believe that whether I want this or not, I have a job to do. And if the city is sued and we lose, not only will then the judge determine the site plan, the city council loses all control over the site plan, and then a judge now rules over the site plan, and they dictate what happens, in addition to lawsuit settlements and the city having to pay the petitioner. Yes, that's how it operates. I've been doing this for a while now. I've done this multiple times. And I may not like that personally, but when the city is sued for these sorts of situations and we lose, our insurance doesn't cover that. That comes out of the general fund. We pay for that out of pocket. So back to my points about lighting, I don't like the glowing on the canopy, and I do think we have that right to do that. With retaining wall and landscaping, what kind of retaining wall material are you using? Is it consistent with the brick material on the building? What are you doing there?
So it's called Allen block, but it'll pier kind of like your standard retaining wall that you would see, that you'd have blocks that are about, like this, 8 inches by 6 inches tall, something like that.
But they're cultured, they're not ugly cinder block, right? They look good, right? They're appealing.
Yeah, they're textured. They're stamped though, so because it's such a large wall, the actual blocks aren't that size. They're actually quite massive.
Okay. So they're appealing looking. They're not just typical cinder blocks. Okay.
And you know what? Sorry to interrupt you, sir. There's some leeway on that. We haven't settled in on a color or a texture. We can work with staff to decide.
Yeah, that's understandable. And then landscaping, again, trying to be sensitive to the neighbor on the main road across the street. I know there's some conversation of landscaping at the planning commission meeting I watched. You'll have landscaping that's essentially car level to block headlights from shooting out to the north, basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those are it for now, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, Vice President.
I think we've really covered this tonight, and like I said, I appreciate the residents. I think council's asked a lot of questions, and I think it's time to make a motion. I'd like to make an approving and a denying motion for this to go forward.
All right, so we have an approving and a denying.
And a committee of the whole.
And I can add a committee of the whole
Would
if
you?
you'd like. Yes,
Thanks.
we can add a committee of the whole as well.
Yep.
So we have all three options going into the next meeting.
Perfect.
Will there be any changes to the resolution as it was presented by the Planning Commission, either additions, deletions, modifications?
Mr. President? Yes, President. At this time, I would ask that the approving include the no lighting, no illumination, no electronics, with the exception of their sheet sign, probably. I know they proposed some sheet sign on the canopy. I understand that. But what I would like to see is there to be no illumination, glowing light fixture on the canopy with the exception of those two signs.
I can live with
We
that.
can agree to that.
Yeah,
I can live with that on the
And
approving.
I will note for the audience, what you just saw was council members offering the potential motions that could take place at the voting meeting in a few weeks. And we can make changes between now and then or at that meeting, right? We can make changes. There can be continued input from the audience, from conversations. And at that meeting, we can offer an approving with additional stipulations. So we're not tied right now, but the administration will draft up language to prepare for those future meetings. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Wait. We can't talk from the audience. I'm sorry. So you can't talk from the audience. Sorry, it's part of the decorum. I'm not trying to be rude. Council, any more comments? We have two motions. We have three motions on the table. We already went to the audience. We good?
I think the gentleman that we couldn't recognize wanted to look at a drive-through. As part of the motions, that can come from the floor.
That could so that could come. That can come in from the floor.
We can do that.
Motions can
Just to
be
answer his
made
question.
at the voting meeting. So, yes, and I appreciate it. Sorry for being rude, but that's our decorum. With that being said, we're going to move on. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys. Even though you go to Ohio State, that's fine. I'll hold it. But
Actually, do not go to Ohio State, but
There
I'm
you
from
go.
Ohio.
all right, fair enough.
Does that redeem me at all?
All right, that's great. No, I appreciate you guys, honestly. I appreciate the information. So with that, have a great night. We're going to move on to item 3 and keep rocking. So, all right, item 3 is a request to approve Specialized Services Operating Assistance Program third-party contract for the period of October 2nd, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. Between the City of Livonia and SMART. This comes to us from the Housing Commission in reference to grant funds being used for the Live and Go program to provide lift-equipped transportation to senior and disabled residents of the city. Madison, great to see you.
Yeah, good evening, Council. Madison Biertness here for the Housing Commission. I'm here tonight to request approval for our specialized services contract between the City of Livonia and SMART to provide lift equipment transportation to our seniors and disabled residents of the city, and this is in the amount of $33,386.
All right, Council.
There's wrong. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The floor is yours.
Yes. So this is something that is done annually, and so I'd like to offer an approving motion on consent if there's no objections to my colleagues.
Okay, Council, we have a approving on consent. Councilman Morgan.
I just had a quick question. Is this from budgeted funds, or where's the funds coming from?
They're coming from SMART, so it's an agreement that we're signing with SMART to receive the funds to to help us with operating costs for the
Directly
program.
from them?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Madison, thank you so much. That's the only thing you had?
No,
I'm next.
All right. Well, I was going to wish you a happy evening, but let's not say that yet. No, I'm kidding. Item 4 is a request to execute the 2026 agreement between the City of Livonia and SMART. This comes to us again from the Housing Commission in reference to allowing the Live and Go program to receive the municipal and community credits in the amount of $89,424.
So again, this is just an agreement to execute with SMART to provide us with additional operating funds for our Live and Go program. So this is in the total amount of $89,424.
Yeah, Mr. President, standard in keeping with item number 3 to spend the money, so I'll offer approving on consent with no objection from my colleagues.
Anything from council? Anything from the audience? Madison, you did well.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. It's good
Thank
to see you as always.
Have a good night.
You too. Item 5 is an award of bid comes to us from the Department of Parks and Recreation for the purchase and installation of security cameras at the Jackie E. Kirksey Recreation Center from budgeted funds. Good evening, Ted Davis, Director of Parks and Recreation. How are you?
I'm good. Good evening, Council President McCullough.
I was like, that's your intro. I just wanted to take it. It was like an M&M.
You did. You took everything from me. We are asking council to award a bid of security cameras for the recreation center. This is something we look at yearly. We had budgeted funds for this project. This is simply new technology evolving, increasing the number of cameras we have throughout the building. We're asking a council award to the low bidder, FSS Technologies of Detroit, in the amount of $46,011.17. I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
If I may, to Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, on that new senior wellness center, that does not include them, right?
No,
This
is just the rec center. Senior wellness center cameras, those are all part of the GMP.
Are those already in then, right?
No, they're
No?
not.
Oh, I thought
They
were
will
open
be.
summer
They
of
will be,
25.
but I mean, we're still finishing up. We're still doing those things there.
All right.
I'm gonna come.
Just checking.
I will happily give you a tour whenever you want.
Okay, it's a deal, buddy.
Okay.
It's a deal. Great job. Thank you. Approving.
All right, approving on consent?
Sure.
Is that okay with everybody? Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? All right. Ms.
Thank
Davis,
you.
You got approve on consent? Well, how many more you got?
2 more.
Look at you. Item 6 is a request to approve a resolution supporting the application for the Detroit Institute of Arts Partners in Public Art Program. Comes to us again from Mr. Davis, the Parks and Recs Director for the City of Livonia.
Thank you. So this is asking council for a resolution to support an application for the DIA's Partners in Public Art Program. So this is a mural program with community input. The proposed location we would like to ask for is Ben Shalani Play Area, the back of the yellow concrete restroom facility, since that is one of the few kind of areas we're not doing construction in at this point in time. I think this is an amazing program, and I'd love it if we won the application process for this. So,
Do you know what picture or painting you would like?
This is the mural.
That's what I was going to recommend it.
So that is something, if the community wanted that, Council President, we could have a mural of you. It is done with
a Step Brothers picture,
community
with
input.
Rob behind me, and Carter in it too.
I'm sorry, Carter, that you're dragged into this. It is with public input, and it could be anything the public wants.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. No.
Go ahead.
You got it, Carrie.
Sorry, I'm going to steal it from you, Laura, because I love public art. And of course, trying to get more public art in our parks is something Ted and I talk about all the time. So I'd like to offer an approving on consent.
Does that include the mural of Rob and I?
I'm going to let the public decide what they would like, and I will happily make that information available so that folks can easily engage in that process once it becomes available.
Councilman
Thank
Morgan
you,
might
Ted,
want to
by
be
the
part
way.
of it too. Do you want to be part of the picture?
Yes, I would like to draw your sombrero and mustache.
Fair enough. Touche. Listen, I think everybody's kind of, we're there.
Could we?
Yes.
Could we name this after Bill Joyner? I mean, he loves the arts.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the public's going to decide. Mr. Davis might be. Let's put that on him.
I'm only joking. I'm only joking. It was one of my parting gifts.
We do have an approving on consent.
It is getting very late.
Approving
Yes,
on
thank you.
consent.
So we have an
again.
approving on consent. I think council's good. Audience, are you guys good with those murals? Good. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Kidding. Mr. Davis, it's a great program for what it's
Thank
worth.
you, Ms. Davis.
Item 7 is request to approve an addendum to agreement between Opium Health Care Solutions and the City of Livonia in reference to senior fitness passport memberships to the Jackie Kirksey Rec.
So, thank you, Council President. This is part of our Medicare memberships that we offer for seniors in the community. There is approximately 850 that are affected by this if council does not pass this addendum to the contract. Optum Health has been very specific. This addendum is part of what they need to continue offering the services we are currently providing. So we're asking council to approve this addendum to the agreement, and we will happily continue offering this service.
Councilman Toy.
Mr. Chair, since I'm of age, I would like to offer an approving of this, sir. Very proud of it.
Are you okay if it's on consent?
Yes, please.
Council, still good with that? Anything from the audience? All right, Mr. Davis, you did well. Is that
Thank
it?
you very much. That is it for me.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Go Tigers. Yes, sir. Item 8 is a request for authorization to purchase 4 storage tanks. This comes to us from the Department of Public Works for the use by the road divisions from budgeted funds. I assume that Mr. Roraff has the grand entrance. We're going to play some music for you. What's your walkout song? You want some like Morgan? So you got to have fun, guys.
You guys flew through that. I was caught up in the parking lot. I apologize.
So you're good. So we're on 8. It's for the purchase of the 4 storage tanks.
Appreciate it. Don Roraff, DPW. So these are the storage tanks that we use for our liquid calcium chloride and our brine that we use in our snow and ice products. There's been a few changes through Eagle, which we have to get new tanks regardless, but we're getting them in out of the weather. They're going under what we call the big top on Glendale. So we're just looking to, the bids did go out on Mitten. We had one bid that was received back in, and we're just looking for approval to purchase 4 of these 10,500 gallon commercial rated liquid storage tanks from Design Plastic Systems Inc. at a cost of $90,731 for all 4 of them from budgeted funds.
Awesome. Councilman Toy.
Mr. Chair, I was going to offer an approving, but before I do, I want to make sure that pictures can go on these, the art pictures again. I don't know if you heard the earlier discussion, but.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, they're going underground?
No, they'll be above ground.
Oh, okay. Well, even more. Anyhow, approving on consent.
So we have an approving Councilman Donovan.
Thanks, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Rowe, for being here at this late hour. When I was reviewing the packet, I thought it was interesting how the state is requiring, they're changing their regulations, so they're requiring us to change these above-ground storage tanks.
Yep.
But I thought was proactive by your department to see that the bids came in lower than you had originally expected, and you actually went out and fixed the other 2, so a total of 4. And I think that just saves us money in the long run and makes us compliant, and I think that was good decision-making by your department. So thank you, sir. Appreciate your team.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. So we have an approving on consent, correct?
Yep.
All right, anything else from council? Anything from the audience? All right. Item 9 is a request to authorize appropriation and expenditure from the Department of Public Works for multiple repairs of Vector truck number 343 from budgeted funds.
Thank you. So as you know, we have 2 Vector trucks that we use at DPW. These are frontline vehicles that we use every day, rely on heavily to jet out lines, vacuum out catch basins, hydro excavate, service lines, water main breaks, anything and everything that we have to do with these vehicles. Historically, we've never really looked too far into a total refurb of these vehicles. They're quite expensive, over $600,000 now. So what we're doing with this one is we are taking the plunge to have this thing rebuilt and see how that works out for us. If we can get 10 more years out of it, then obviously for the price that we're looking at to do this, like I've always said, we're trying to push the limits on what we do and extending life and on our equipment and things like that. So we did put this out to bid to have a full refurb of this which will include chassis work, all the module of the Vector parts of this. 2 bids were received. Jack Doheny Companies was the low bid at a total price of $108,694.06. And we are looking for council to approve the rebuild of this Vector in that amount of $108,694.06.
I got Vice President, and then I got Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Roraf. I think it was a couple meetings back, you actually educated me on what a Vector truck was, because I had no idea, but now I do. And I really do appreciate not going out and spending $600,000 when we can spend maybe $100,000 and squeeze out another decade. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, fingers crossed, right? I will offer an approving on consent.
We have an approving on consent. Councilman Morgan, are you good? Do you have some questions?
No, I was just going to approve it.
Perfect. Council, any other questions, concerns, comments? Audience? All right, moving on to item 10 is a request to approve lead identification/removal project for FY 2026. Comes to us from the Department of Public Works and the Water and Sewer Division in reference to the identification and replacement of lead water service lines.
Yes, thank you. As everyone's aware, we've been full bore on going through and doing identifications and trying to replace lead lines that we find in the city. Earlier in 2025, we approved $1.7 million to go through and start doing this. We didn't really have a great handle on how long it would take us to get through that. And at this point, I'd just like to give a little update of where we're at with that. So as we started that, we've completed city sections number 1, 34, and 36. We replaced 177 lead lines at a cost of $985,513. We've identified and excavated 1,573 homes and their service lines at a cost of $458,790. And we've also done 160 yard restorations at a cost of $70,300 in total. 320 for a total cost so far of 2025 of 1.5 million ballpark. And we've got work that's still continuing on that. We have 54 homes that have been identified for lead lines. So moving forward into 2026, we're looking to continue the programs in sections 2, 11, 12, and 13. And we're anticipating about 2,266 excavations and investigations on that at an estimated cost of about $661,000. As I mentioned, we have 54 lines that we have on the books that we're looking to get replaced. That'll be $300,618 ballpark. And we're estimating replacing another 125 lines that we'll find through the investigation process at $695,875 for a total cost of about $1.65 million.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, you got more?
So, long and short of it, we're requesting a council to approve the funding of $1.7 million to keep this lead line service program moving through the fiscal year of 2026. We do have this budgeted from the Water and Sewer Fund, and we'd like approval in the appropriation in the amount of $1.7 million from the Water and Sewer Fund to perform lead and galvanized line identification and replacement at various locations throughout the city.
Thank you. Councilman Morgan.
Yes, I will offer an approving on consent. This is very important. It needs to be taken care of.
Awesome. So, council, any other comments, questions? Councilman Toy?
To Mr. Roroff, if I may. Mr. Roroff, what if somebody lives in those areas? Do they call a phone number or on the website, or what do they do to get tested?
We've got that, and we're also doing door-to-door flyers when we get out there and start the investigation. So when we look at the identification portion of that, we're looking at both sides of the line. So we're going down both sides of the blocks and the streets. So everybody will be notified and contacted if we come up with anything that concerns them.
Okay, I just wondered, so the viewing audience, probably about 3 people right now, but, would know. Thanks
They're probably
so much.
videotaping it. They'll watch
Yes,
it
sir.
tomorrow.
Seven, okay.
So we have an approving.
Yep.
Any other questions, concerns from council, anything from the audience? Not that we're trying to rush through this. This is really important. Mr. Roraf, the packet is great on this, and honestly, it's a proactive but reactive with everything that happened with Flint. But it's nice that we're identifying this, so appreciate your team's work on this. Moving on. let's go to item 11, is a request to extend amended contract with the Angelo Brothers Incorporated. Comes to us from the Department of Public Works to include lead and galvanized service line replacements for the fiscal year 2026 as required by EPA and Eagle at various locations throughout the city, and not to exceed $1.7 million from budgeted funds.
Thank you. Again, this is hand in hand with the previous item. D'Angelo Brothers have been performing this work for us in the city. When we started to award this contract, we were estimating the removals were going to be around $7,500. Through the process, they've worked their costs down to about $5,500. So we're really happy to save, that kind of money as we've worked with them through this. Since awarding this contract, again, I can run through the numbers, but 177 lead service lines have been removed. Over 1,500 homes have been identified, and again, 160 restorations. And we're looking again to move forward in the same amount, same sections that we were talking about. D'Angelo Brothers has done an excellent job with the scheduling, the inspections, the removals, the restoration of the lead line program for us. Their professionalism that they've always brought to us is very much appreciated. There's never been a doubt when we've worked with them that the job will be done completely and under budget. So once again, they've agreed to hold their pricing for the next contract year, and we're requesting council to approve an extension to the amended services based on D'Angelo's brother's willingness to hold their pricing. We recommend that council proceed by approving the request from D'Angelo Brothers to extend their contract to perform the lead and service line identification and replacement programs throughout the city in an amount not to exceed $1.7 million, and waive the formal bidding process since there would be no advantage would be result from bidding this out.
Sounds good. Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. And thanks, Mr. Roy, for being here this evening. I was happy to see that the administration is asking to extend the existing contract with D'Angelo Brothers. They've been working in this community for a long time, and it goes to show that they're partners with us. They're keeping their pricing. They're not asking to increase. And I would just say, for the record, Livonia is very fortunate to have. We deal with a lot of different contractors, but there's a handful of contractors that we deal with very intimately. D'Angelo Brothers, Rotundo, Hard Rock, Nagel. I'm missing a few, I know for sure, that always work with us and do a really good job and are very involved in the day-to-day operations. Bidigary, all these companies, they do a good job of working with us, working with our inspectors. They build a relationship with these folks, and they do this work day in and day out. And as opposed to going out all the time and hiring a new contractor, and you mess up the entire process, which ultimately impacts the residents. So I'm happy to see that you guys continue to work with these contractors and drive the price down, get the most competitive price possible for us, but also continue that relationship and with these good local contractors. All these people I named, including D'Angelo, the owners are on the job site. These folks are out there, first, second generation people that are getting the work done for our residents, and this stuff matters. I mean, we're talking about 1,500 homes have been impacted recently. We're going out there and being proactive, like the president said, and changing these lead lines that are from decades ago. So hats off to you and your department, and I'd like to offer an approving if there's no objection from my colleagues. Thank you.
Are you okay on consent?
Yes, sir.
All right, any issues with council? Any comments? Anything from the audience? All right.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Mr. Zelensky, I assume you're taking us home?
Saving the best for last, as
All
always,
right,
engineering.
Listen, I hear that, happy birthday, man. All right, item 12.
Birthday.
Item 12 is a request to amend the QBS engineering contract with OHM Advisors from the Engineering Division for the construction engineering services for the 2025 water main replacement project, Area 11 and Schoolcraft, in a not-to-exceed amount of $198,334 from budgeted funds.
Yes, we went out for bids. You'll see the next item that Murphy will be the low bidder at $2.479 million. It's based on the QBS contract, 8% of that amount. We're asking you to award the contract to OHM Advisors in the amount of $198,334. And again, if there's any underage, they will not collect for CE. But again, Murphy's done work on projects before at Farmington and 5 Mile. We're just trying to improve the water improvements for the water main breaks there at Merriman and Schoolcraft, and replacing 6, 8, 12, and 16-inch water mains. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilwoman Budzinski.
I'll put a motion to approve on consent if there's no objection.
Perfect. We have a motion to approve on consent. Any other concerns, questions from council? Anything from the audience? All right. take us home right now. Item 13 is a Board of Contract, comes to us from the Engineering Division in reference to the 2025 water main replacement in Area 11 and Schoolcraft Road from budgeted funds.
Again, we had 6 bidders that were submitting bids anywhere from $2.547 million to almost under $4 million on Minton for the areas that we're talking about, Area 11 and Merriman Road. Murphy Pipeline was the lowest qualified bidder. We took out the 100 inspector days, so we're requesting their approval contract, again, in the amount of $2,479,179. Again, that was identified early on with OHM advisors to attack our areas where we had water main breaks. If you go down Schoolcraft Road, east of Merriman Road, we have done stuff near the off-ramp. We want to stop going out there and fixing the pavement. We want to address the situation, take care of it promptly next spring, and get that resolved on Merriman Road, and then continue on the subdivision to the east of Merriman, north of Schoolcraft. Thank you.
Council? Councilman Donovan?
Thanks, Mr. President. Mr. Zielinski, great work to your department. I know you guys have been working really hard on these water main breaks that are so cost prohibitive to the community, and we're doing our best to not just Band-Aid those, but actually look for long-term solutions. And Murphy Pipeline's done a lot of work in the area, and OHM, they're phenomenal, right? They're next to the best. So I'd like to offer an approving on consent. There's no objection from my colleagues.
So we have an approving on consent. Anything else from Councilman Toy?
If I may, thank you, Todd, for some of the roads that were getting repaired, especially 5 Mile Farmington area. It's really looking good and it drives really nice. Thank you.
We truly blessed with Wayne County. They did Farmington Road between Schoolcraft and 5 Mile. Makes a big difference for police, our fire, our school buses, and again, especially over at Trinity Health at 5 and New Levan Road.
Yeah.
And we're looking for a new signal at 5 and Levan for left turn phase there. So appreciate all your support for the road infrastructure. City Council, we can't do without you and our partners at Wayne County, and appreciate all the efforts over the years to make sure that we can improve our roads every single year.
It's all his fault.
Happy birthday. So we have an approving on consent. Anything else for council, audience? If you'd like to speak, 2 minutes, name, address, on the record. You might get a
Trust
couple
me, it
extra
won't be
seconds.
2 minutes.
You might get a couple extra seconds here.
Eileen McDonald, Livonia, Michigan. Just a suggestion going forward, when you have very large contracts and those type of dollar amounts, probably would be a better idea to put them on a regular agenda, so they're at least have the opportunity to have discussions.
So if you're good with your time on that, I just.
Okay, I am. I'm sorry.
I totally agree, but with our packet items, I've got to give kudos to Mr. Zielinski on the packet. It really dives it out. So for me, especially when we look at it, but I agree with the perception, but something like this, it's so spelled out in the packet that at least I feel confident council can put it on regular if they so choose. But that's giving you some context. We take it by specifics. Councilwoman Budzinski, you have something?
I was just going to reaffirm that typically we do on long items. I think the largest item tonight was check your pipes, Livonia. I think we don't want lead in our pipes. And so, that is, that's the priority over, I would say, even cost. We want people to be safe and healthy in their homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, Lynn Mills from the South Side. We don't limit gas stations, but we limit the amount of liquor license we have, and we're not allowing marijuana stores.
So wait, are you so this is still? I'm going to time you out for a minute, and we're going to go back to the audience communication. So
okay.
You don't have any issues with
no,
13.
Are we not in audience communication? I am sorry.
No, you're good. Just chill there. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. We're talking on item 13, so
okay.
Are there any other comments from the audience? Seeing none on item 13. We got an approving on consent. And
we are in audience community. That's why I had mentioned check your pipes.
Oh, good call. Listen, I'm like, the Red Bull's out. So your clock starts over, Lynn.
Okay. I can't even remember what I just said. Okay.
I have you.
Gas
You got
stations,
to
'cause we have
marijuana
other
dispensaries.
Right. We don't have liquor license. There's a limited amount of liquor license. We don't allow marijuana, but we can have gas stations. And I want to remind you, okay, I've been delivering signs. I've been handing out door knockers. I've been seeing the hidden gems in Livonia. I go down to the end of Harrison, in Zip 54. That's how these houses, these incredible places. I was on Shady Side in Westbrook today. 1 acre lots. We have so many beautiful places in Livonia, hidden gems everywhere. And I just want to ask everyone on City Council to remember Livonia is yours to protect. And that's why you've seen so many of us here. We don't want to be here, but we are here. We love Livonia. We're just trying to protect Livonia, and I think in your hearts you want to protect Livonia too. And we all care about Livonia. And please, with everything I heard here tonight, make that your #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other general audience communications? Seeing none, I'm going to close it. We're going back to council communication.
Thanks, Mr. President, and I just want to note that there's a statement about going to the regular. The majority of agenda items go to a study meeting first, and we study them, we deliberate them, and then they go to a regular. So those contracts will be going to a regular meeting. If council wants those items to be placed on consent, any one member can ask for those items to be placed on consent, and then any one member can ask for that item to not be included on the consent. That's the prerogative of the council. And at the regular meeting, if one member asks for an item to be removed off consent, then that item will be removed off of consent. So that's standard operating procedure that we've been doing forever. And then also, in terms of liquor licenses are mandated by the state. There's state regulatory bodies that mandate liquor, and the state legislature, through the people that voted, allowed for local municipalities to opt out of recreational adult marijuana facilities. I was actually shocked to hear that Mrs. Mills wants marijuana facilities in Livonia, but that's her prerogative. That's if the council wanted to opt into marijuana establishments, that is a vote of the council. But I don't want marijuana facilities, but that's a vote of the people. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. McCullough.
I'm laughing how he spelled that, but I'm not. With that,
Motion to adjourn?
I think we can safely show all of us. Good night, Livonia. We'll see you in a couple weeks.